shouting, nobody's right. Smoke in the streets, truth under attack. Everybody's loud, nobody's got facts. Feeds keep scrolling, nerves stay tight. Matchsticks flicked in the dead of night. They sell fear, cheap package the lies, while the clock keeps ticking, empires on fire. Can't sit quiet while the world's on edge. Lines in the sand, standing on the ledge. No script, no leash, no polish, quiet. Just a voice in the dark and a spark to the wire. This is and I'll bring the fire. Gonna light it higher. No filter, no fear, I say it raw. Strike the match, let it burn through the fog. This is and I'll bring the fire. And I'll bring the fire. Everybody's selling truth like a brand, buying opinions they don't understand. Talking in circles, screaming online. Keyboard courage, borrowed spines. Yeah, power plays dressed up as peace. Same old wolves with different teeth. But silence is loud when the house is burning. And the fuse is short, yeah, it's still learning. I don't dance for the left or the right. I stand in the heat, I stand in the fight. No strings, no chains, no manufactured choir. Just gasoline thoughts and an open lighter. This is and I'll bring the fire. Gonna light it higher. No filter, no fear, I say it raw. Strike the match, let it burn through the fog. This is and I'll bring the fire. And I'll bring the fire. The world's on tilt, pressure climbing. Truth don't whisper, it's perfect timing. You can't cancel the smoke, you can't stop flame. Say my name when it hits, say my name. Why? Say my name. Say my name. Fire don't ask permission. Fire don't need a side. Fire just shows up honest and exposes the lie. This is and I'll bring the fire. Truth is harder. Burn it down till what's real survives. No smoke, no mirrors, just heat and lies. And I'll bring the fire. And I'll bring the fire. American fire. Strike it. Let it speak.
What's happening, everybody? Friday is here, the weekend. Everybody's living for the weekend tomorrow. It's almost here. So I'm going to do my best, guys, to keep you entertained, keep you educated, keep you informed for the next couple hours, help your Friday be a little easier. Thank you for watching. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. We have a big show today as Spain is being overrun by Moroccans, calling us that the deep state. They're in full panic mode as they get crazier and crazier with their tactics, as we're going to talk about. Are they also planning on maybe crashing the economy? I don't know, but we're getting some weird signs that, could mean something. And why not? Because in the midterms, as I'm going to show you guys, the things continue to get worse for the Democrats as they put up a bunch of morons and crazy people as their candidates, and it is backfiring on them huge. And one of the other reasons is the Trump administration continues to administer justice and make changes in the nation that are really working, as he continues to be the most effective president we've ever seen in our lifetimes. And then we'll end it off with a grifter report, guys, because what is it without checking in on the grifters and what they're doing and what's being exposed about them. So what a day we got, guys. Buckle in. We have so much to cover. We're gonna have fun while doing it, so hit the like, hit the subscribe, be sure to join in the chat. This chat is the best community on YouTube. And one of the reasons it's the best is because we police it. We kick the trolls out so you guys can freely discuss. You can reach out to me, disagreements, questions, comments, all that stuff. Just please tag me Or if you want to support the channel, you can always send a super chat, as I am a listener supported channel. But you guys can make your own decisions on that. However, the community is amazing, and so I'll do my best to jump in the chat in between segments at the end of the show to answer your questions and have discussions. We had a great one yesterday at the end of the show. Handled a lot of disagreements for everybody's like, he blocks everybody who disagrees with him. Ugh. No, I blocked your dumb ass because you were a jerk. You were a jerk, or you were making an emotional argument and we weren't having an exchange. You were talking at me. And so you got blocked. That's why you get blocked. But regular disagreements, honorable, respectful, going back and forth, that is allowed and welcomed. In fact, it makes good content. So bring it. I enjoy it. So with all that said, let me jump in and say hey to the peeps who are watching today. Let's start on the rums. We got Chrissy Katz, AZ Tropic, Maui Jimbo, Jack9955 holding it down there on the Rumble. We got here on, well, Kick and X. Sorry, guys, I cannot see your chats. Someday maybe they'll fix that. But in the meantime, I do recognize you and thanks for watching here on the tubes. We got Cass Sync, numero uno today. We got Nick Majors, Golden Code, Sonny Danielson, excuse me, SMK, I Speak For You, Dadbot Todd, Ramona, Donna M, Nick, I already called out you, Nick. You got a double call out, brother. moderator privilege. Gray Fog, Jay Tyrus, Dow, Threads, Dong Shanga. never fails to make me laugh. Tammy Anderson, Rob Mole, Sebastian Chose, Tiffany, Cass Sink, Jim Atkin, Pat, already said that one. Scott Volkovich, Riff Raff, Bobby Girl, Golden Child, Eric Harwell, Mutha Palooka, Alice Fordham, Threads, and many, many more. Sorry, I can't read all you guys because we'd be here all day. But get here early enough, get a shout out. Katie Cat running with a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Katie. Happy Friday to you as well. Hope you're doing well. Hope all things are going well for you and yours. And as always, thank you for your great support over the years, Katie. You are awesome. Appreciate you. Appreciate so many of you. If you notice a mod, it's because they are policing the chat, making sure the trolls get kicked. They are the blue text, but they're also the people who've been a part of the community a long time that are trusted in this community. And so, excuse me if they get a little extra love, but there's so many good people in here. Thank you guys for watching. Apologize for a couple minutes late. I was finishing up an interview with Mr. Rich Does Politics and Steve Kuhn, which will be dropping tomorrow. So I'm excited for that one. I think you guys will like it. 2 videos with Steve and Rich, and going to be a lot of fun. And then tomorrow morning, my interview on this channel with Mike Steger of Promethean Action will be dropping, and I hope you guys all check it out. It's Mike is amazing. He understands the politics and economics of what Trump's doing so well. And he comes at it from a very hopeful perspective while also understanding some of the amazing things happening to the next generation. So, alrighty. But again, thank you guys for watching. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Let's see here. Make sure I'm not missing anything before we get started. Sebastian, I will be answering your question in the segment coming up. As we're going to start on the world stage today. Michael Guymom, real quick, before we get into the segments, says, got a question about Rich Does Politics. Me and Blaine Holt mentioned Lindsey Graham wasn't eulogized with a flag on his casket. Even though he is a colonel in the U.S. Reserves, he only had a wrinkle. Here's the thing on the Lindsey Graham stuff, okay? I've looked at the picture. It's the flag on his casket was slightly wrinkled, but I'm not 100% sure it was the natural wrinkle that you just can't get out when you drape a flag, or if it was wrinkled on purpose a la John McCain. That's something I don't know 100%. So I'm withholding my judgment for now on the whole Lindsey Graham's flag thing. I'll just be honest, guys. I can't. I think Lindsey Graham's very confusing because he was a whole full-throated neocon. He was not a good person in a lot of ways over the years. But by the end of his career, he was one of the most important MAGA votes in the Senate. He was one of the most important people pushing forward Trump's agenda through the Senate. He was the reason Brett Kavanaugh got confirmed. So, he did more good than harm over the last 10 years. But that doesn't mean he was a full-on white hat, full-on MAGA. So we're just going to leave the Lindsey Graham thing out there for now and trust that over time it works itself out. But I'm not going to jump in like other people and just make a full-on decision on where Lindsey ended his life. It's pretty true that, pretty clear that Trump liked him by the end. So that's the only thing I can say for sure. Baron says, keep up the great work. Love your conversation on Rich's channel as well. These are the most productive insights out there. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. So we're trying to keep it going. But all right, guys, listen, again, if you just jumped on, please feel free to jump in the chat. Great people here, great conversations. Tag me if you have questions or comments so I can see them, because I'm going to be parsing through a chat that's going to be growing as the show goes on. Hard to find your statements sometimes. So sometimes you might need to write it twice. And then, as always, if you want to support the channel, you can become a member or super chat, and those will be guaranteed to be read. My thoughts on the 3 grand juries in Florida. I think they told the DOJ of cases for indictments, but Blanche is waiting for the big dump on major players. I don't know. We have very little on that except for what John Solomon's reported. And that's all I can really say on that. So, okay, folks, if you've been in a hole somewhere, maybe you haven't heard what's going on in Spain. So starting yesterday, it started being reported all over X, started spreading across the internet that 60,000 Moroccans, African men, but mostly Moroccans, were going into the area of Ceuta, Spain, which is not Spain proper. It's not mainland Spain, but across the channel, right there on the African continent, is an area controlled by Spain called Ceuta. And thousands and thousands of migrants just started swarming out of nowhere. Watch this because it is crazy.
Really wild video here. Chaos at the border of Spain's North African enclave in Morocco. This is a city called Ceuta. You're watching as thousands of migrants break through the fence and completely overwhelm the border police. Their video showing huge groups of people, mostly young military-age guys, cramming into inflatable tubes or arriving on shore another way, some of them wading in the water as they break through the gates to get to the other side. Sandra, this is reminiscent of kind of what we saw during the open border during the Biden administration through 2021, 2024, kind of similar to what we saw in Del Rio back in 2021. The socialist agenda, their platform literally says they want to abolish borders, abolish immigration enforcement, have complete freedom of movement. This is what it looks like in another country if they get what they want. Notice there is no resistance from the government whatsoever. These people are coming in without any obstruction. And if people don't know, Spain has a very left-wing government. Earlier this year, they did a big amnesty program for over 1 million illegal immigrants living in the country. They had 1.3 million illegal immigrants apply for that amnesty program between April and June. So that's what we call a pull factor, Sandra. They're looking for something like that. They know if they can just get their foot in the country, maybe someday that left-wing government will do another amnesty program. And you were just reading some of the wires. The locals want an emergency declaration. It sounds like
the ministry's saying no, they will not deploy military to the border.
Apparently they don't think this is an I mean, look at this. This is a total free-for-all.
It does feel like we are
insanity.
looking at a few years ago when you're reporting at the border here in the United States. This is happening right now. This story is breaking right now. And you're not just talking about hundreds, thousands of migrants are pouring over the borders as we speak.
Yeah, and again, I mean, just look here. Do you see any women or children? I mean, most people would call these folks so-called asylum seekers. These are all young guys just flooding into the country and overwhelming what, if any, border there is. It looks like there's just kind of a small barbed wire fence or something like that. But you can see the Spanish government was caught completely off guard here, and you have thousands of these men. I mean, it literally looks like, you often hear the word invasion, but it literally looks like one here. Look at that. I mean, you see the border fence there. They're all just going around it. And again,
the head of Spain's civil guard is calling this absolute chaos. In a brand new interview, he said, quote, "It's not possible to give precise numbers, but there are thousands of migrants crossing right now." He added,
so far, 60,000 have poured in. in a 24-hour span to a area with a population of 83,000. So they've almost doubled the population of the area in 24 hours. Folks, there's no way this isn't planned. There's no way this wasn't coordinated. You cannot move that many people that quickly. The Moroccan government the other day set free thousands of criminals. Just, you're free to go. Let them out of the prison system. This is also following Spain choosing to amnesty 500,000. Spain is not that large of a country. It's smaller than Texas. This area is, I don't know what Spain's population is exactly, but, way smaller than the U.S. And they're allowing this to happen. It's the most leftist government in Europe, in the EU. I've had many people who have fought me arguing with me that Spain is the example of how socialism works, how communism works. And yet here is the example of exactly what they want, folks. This overrunning of their people there while refusing to intervene, calling the people of Quetta, Ceuta, whatever they call it. I can't pronounce it correctly. I'll just be honest with you guys. They're calling for help. Their government said, no, you're good. Let them in. Let it all happen. Enjoy the ride. But I mean, the scenes are insane. Here's some cell phone footage. Coming from land and sea. Absolute craziness. Look at that on the coastline. Just overwhelmed. This looks like an invasion, folks. It looks like an invasion. The real question is, why now? Well, there's all kinds of theories on it, and where it came from, who organized it. Some have said Israel is behind it. Of course they do that. But there is some interesting things from Bibi talking about his anger at Spain. Who knows? But I can tell you this. This is the globalist playbook. This is what they want. This will take over, just destroy a sovereign nation, absolutely discourage them, demoralize them, overrun them. And they're doing it to their own. It's this suicidal, as God Saad would call it, suicidal empathy. But it's actually a whole suicide plan in general. They don't care about the people, but ultimately this will give them more power. It's no coincidence this is happening in the most left-wing country in the EU. Because, of course, this is a country that wouldn't respond to it. This is an uptick. This is them making a push and making a statement while Trump's getting a whole lot done, which we'll talk about in a minute here. But as Data Republican says, the Ceuta invasion is being coordinated by Facebook groups. Flagship group description, Ceuta by every route. Migration is an idea, and the idea does not die. There are countless posts soliciting people to go with others. This is in clear violation of Facebook TOS, terms of service that prohibits content offers to provide or facilitate human smuggling or content asks for human smuggling services. And here she lists the groups. 125,000 this one, 36,000 this one, 31, 22. But all these groups just pushing this. Get it out there. We're calling it a liberation of Ceuta, a handover back to its owners. Take it back. Take it back from Morocco. Bring it back. Allow chaos. See, this is a chaos operation. Just create chaos. Now, as usual, I believe this will backfire on them, but very clear it's coordinated and very clear that this is part of the ramping up. It's no coincidence that all this stuff's starting to happen at the same time. 3 weeks ago, Trump dropped the election notices. We're getting on fraud on, our intel agencies being involved, working with China, Democrats, media members working with China, fight the 2020 election along with other countries. Ever since then, it's been nonstop disclosure, and the world seems to be on fire, literally on fire in some places, as the wildfires have raged in globalist countries and in our states, hard left states. And I'm sorry, but whether or not all of them were created or pushed by the globalists, planned by the globalists, you can't ignore the fact that they're all happening in their areas. And so it's all designed chaos over time. And of course it is, because here's the Interior Minister who's rejected the request to declare a national emergency, saying immigration flows don't legally qualify as a risk to national security. How is that even possible? How is it even possible to say that invasion from another country coming in, people coming in, cannot be a national security issue? How is that even possible? This is the insane thinking. We're getting a glimpse, folks, of what the Democrats want to do here. Oh, and of course, here's him with Alexander Soros. Yeah, George Soros' son, of course. Every damn time these people are connected. See, it's a small club and you ain't in it. This globalist club, they're all connected. They all talk to each other, work for each other, pay each other, and they all work hard to undermine sovereignty at every single opportunity, even when it's one of their countries. It's insane. What we're watching is absolute insanity, but it's what they want. It's what they wanted to bring here. And I'm telling you, folks, with the acceleration that they'll need to try to get our country back the way they want it, if they get back in power, say they win in 2028, 2032, anytime, as long as the Democratic Party is still absolutely overrun by the globalist mob, as long as if they win anytime soon, this will be our borders. This will be California and Texas and Arizona. They'll bring them in through the north. This will be us if the Democrats are allowed to get back in power. There's just no doubt about it, because we're seeing what happens when you get them pushed into a corner, what they'll do to the countries they run. This is a push to get full control, full demoralization every which way. But there's a backfire to it. And the backfire is it rises strength up in the people who actually care about their countries. Here's Giorgia Meloni. Giorgia Meloni has lately, interestingly, been more on the globalist side of things. In fact, she's called out Trump. She once was very close to Trump. He's called her out in the last few years. But is this going to arise back in her the backbone she needs to really bring change to Italy? She says the images coming from Ceuta are striking and demonstrate once again that uncontrolled illegal immigration poses a concrete threat to the security of Europe's borders. I've spoken with Interior Minister Matteo Piantedosi. Italy will not stand by and watch. We're convening the relevant bodies, and following these meetings, we're prepared to intervene with extraordinary measures to defend the borders and safety of citizens, including suspension of Schengen area with Spain. This means no back and forth travel without your visa. Look at her getting strong. On illegal immigration, we won't yield an inch. Defending the border, stopping human traffickers, and ensuring effective repatriations will continue to be the line of this government. So good for her. We're seeing that Italy starting to step up again. Is this the beginning of maybe leaders in the EU that the people actually want to push forward? Maybe Marine Le Pen gets up in France as now she's legally allowed to run again. Their whole political assassination campaign failed, and she'll be coming back. Is this what it's going to take? Is this going to be possible? The AfD in Germany is rising. Will we start seeing a return to sanity in Europe? Have they gone too far? I don't know. The question is, it's a big if is the question. Probably not yet, but there's at least some signs of hope, at least. Now, Trump had this to say about it, warning us about our possible future.
You know, I saw Spain yesterday, and I watched the catastrophe that took place. It looks like an invasion of a country by hundreds of thousands of people. And that same thing's going to happen to us if the Republicans don't get elected, except worse. Much bigger, much easier to get into, despite the fact that we have built thousands of miles of wall, which I said we were going to do, but we didn't have that, forget it. But we have the safest border in the world. If we're not in office, our country will be invaded at levels that made Spain look small time. And when I watched it, I said, boy, I'm going to say it because I knew you were going to be at Camp David, and I say, that's going to be a talking point for the midterms. Because when you look at what happened to Spain, they don't know what to do. And it's happening again today. They're coming in by the tens of thousands. They're just invading the country. And what that is weak law, bad management, but very liberal law. They passed a couple of laws, and people read. You know, people are smart. They read from other countries, and they swam that 3-mile swim or however they got in, but nobody's seen anything like it. That will look good compared to what's going to happen to the United States. The biggest thing, the worst thing that Biden did is allowing 25 million people into our country, because many of those people are criminals. They're murderers. A lot of murder. 11,888. A lot of them are gone now. We got them out. But they allowed people to come into this country that you can't allow to come into a country.
Folks, this alone, and this is how it's going to backfire on them. Because as people are watching what's happening in Spain, they're remembering how bad it was here. And this is where the globalists always screw themselves over. Because once they show you who they are, people reject them every time. The only way they were going to win was to slow roll, to unleash what their plans were for our nation, for the world slowly. So that we were the frogs in boiling water, complaining a little bit how things were shifting, but it was moving slowly enough where most of us were not stirred to action. Most Americans were complacent in the fact that they were content to just go about their lives and slowly let things fall apart. That's where we were. But the acceleration woke people up. The acceleration of COVID, the acceleration of the Biden administration, the acceleration of what the globalists are doing here in Spain. Their desperation, while it hurts Spain right now, it hurts those poor people who did not choose this, it's bad for the globalists because the world is watching, and President Trump's right. Now he gets to remind everybody how awful their policies are. No American wants that. I mean, well, there's some crazies who do. But every regular American, 95% of Americans do not want that. So overwhelmingly, we'd never let it happen. And now you have these images to share with everybody saying how insane their policies are. This is what was going on. And people will remember the push across our border. And then they'll think, oh, well, at least President Trump's done that. Because it's the one thing everybody agrees on is he's completely secured our border. No one can deny it. Even the Democrats are forced to admit, well, if I have to say one thing Trump's done, okay, yeah, we overstepped on the border. It's the only area they've been able to admit they screwed up. And why? Because it's so obvious. You can't say anything otherwise if you want to get elected. They don't mean it, but they say it. They say it because they have to, because the American people, they know this was too far. And their decision to let this happen, again, there's no way it's not coordinated, as Data Republican dug up, but their decision to let this happen now is going to backfire on them because now it can be used against them politically here. And Trump geniusly already is doing it. Now, is it any coincidence this is happening? Started on the same day that Trump announced this. The Board of Peace. Remember Trump's board he put together that's basically the opposite of the United Nations, where all those nations that the United Nations, the UN, the globalist institution had pushed out, wouldn't allow in anymore. And Trump gathered many of them together along with some others and said, I'm creating a Board of Peace. I'm creating a Board of Peace that's actually going to get stuff done. Well, many forgot about it, but we just see yesterday announced a massive win from the Board of Peace. Today, the Board of Peace reached a historic agreement for the complete disarmament of Hamas and all other armed groups in Gaza. Interesting. Hamas is funded by Iran. Is it possible they're feeling the heat? Maybe those funds haven't been showing up and now they are going to surrender? There's a monumental step towards lasting peace and security. This agreement is a critical step towards Gaza finally being governed by a new Palestinian government that will work closely with the Board of Peace to help the Palestinian people. At the same time, Israel will have the security it deserves, with Gaza no longer used as a base for terror attacks. This is a major milestone for the implementation of the Trump 20-point plan. The agreement will be carried out in carefully structured phases. As disarmament's completed, Israeli forces will withdraw and the International Stabilization Force will work with the new Palestinian police force to take responsibility for Gaza being safe for its residents and neighbors. 1 year ago, there was a violent raging war, humanitarian crisis, and hostages kept in brutal captivity. We've made historic progress. There's still much to do. I want to thank the mediators, Egypt, Qatar, and Turkey. All very interesting. Very interesting who he brought in to make this happen. It's almost as if he's reshaping the Middle East, which we've said so many times. For their important efforts, and especially my astounding team whose tireless work made this historic breakthrough possible. Threats that emerged from Gaza on October 7th will not be allowed to rebuild. Under this agreement, Gaza will finally be in the hands of a new Palestinian government that serves its people. Congratulations on all this amazing development that everybody said could never be achieved. That's a big deal, folks. This is a big deal. Now we'll watch and see how the implementation goes through. But he could not have released this. I mean, he could have, but it would have been stupid for him to release this if Egypt, Qatar, and Turkey hadn't signed off on it. Those are major players in the region. These are all on his board of peace, along with Israel, by the way. And so this was an announcement under the board of peace's seal. So they all agree this is happening, or it's been agreed to. It's a massive, massive deal. Now, what happens as this Middle East gets stabilized, as he's beating Iran, especially the IRGC, destroying the IRGC? Their power is waning. The groups they fund, Hamas, Hezbollah, are fading. They don't have the money anymore. The other day, Axios reported that they are more terrified of Scott Bessent, the Treasury Department, than they are of the War Department because all the money is going bye-bye. As that's happening, things are getting weaker. And this makes even more sense why Trump would get frustrated with Bibi, because you know what? These negotiations must have been going on this whole time. So when Trump's calling out Bibi for attacking attacking an apartment building when he's going for one person, et cetera, just called him out last week for trying to move things. Bibi came over here and was pointing his finger at Hegseth and Rubio, talking to them at Lindsey Graham's funeral. Trump was actually trying to do what's best for Israel in the background. Fascinating stuff. And then, as this is announced, Spain's being invaded. The globalists are losing their grip on the Middle East. So what are they going to do? They're going to double down in Europe. They're going to double down where they still have control. They're going to make sure we at least keep this. This is why Ukraine and Russia is continuing to go to another level. The attacks are increasing. The stories about Russia's missile hitting farmland in Poland, that's a big story because that's NATO territory. Can we try to get NATO? Can we try to get us into a third world war? We need the war because, as I was just talking to Steve Kuhn, guess what is powering a major part of the economy of Europe? Because the EU is in serious trouble economically. One of the only things propping it up is the German economy, which is powered by defense industry, defense production. And that defense production is soaring right now because of the war in Ukraine. You take that away, Europe's economy crashes. The globalist system crashes. They have to keep the war machine churning, especially now that many of the contracts, their ability to destabilize the Middle East, that's all going bye-bye. Trump is continuing to put the pressure on them, and they are continuing to try and keep us into war. This morning, it was announced there was a cyber attack from Iran in Minnesota on water wells, taking out water infrastructure. But interestingly enough, see, the reporting is that it's from Iran, but then Trump had this to say.
Of our country. So that's something. Today, I just want to mention that we heard in Minnesota there was a cyber attack, and they blame it on Iran. I don't think so. I blame it on Minnesota because they're grossly incompetent. There was a cyber attack of 30 water plants, and I would blame it on Minnesota and the governor, the corrupt governor of Minnesota. They like to say, oh, it was Iran. Iran should be so lucky. Iran's got bigger problems than worrying about Minnesota.
Wow. Talk about taking down a psyop immediately. They want us to think Iran is powerful. They want us to think Iran can do things. But they can't, and Trump is calling it out. Nope. What is this nonsense about Iran, folks? You guys think Iran's tough? Iran didn't do that. That's Minnesota sucking. Interestingly, it happened in one of the most corrupt states in the nation, one of the most globalist run states in the nation. That's where it happened. That's where they're feeding the narrative that Iran is strong and powerful. Why does this not happen in red states? That's funny. And so Trump immediately just shot it down as a major psyop. This is one of the big trending stories this morning, and Trump took it out like that. No big deal. That was not Iran, folks. Wow. How much over the years have we been lied to about what foreign countries are capable of doing here? How much was just allowed to happen so that we would be afraid, or we would create new enemies and call for war? How many times? Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. By the way, President Trump is having this cabinet meeting at Camp David, and it's the first time ever that the cabinet meeting's being aired live from Camp David. That's incredible stuff. That's a statement. To me, what does a statement mean? Well, is it possible that Trump is feeling more and more comfortable with his government being cleaned up, with his executive branch being cleaned up? They did just fire 30% of the intel communities. Is it possible Trump's in more control now than he's ever been? I don't know. But when you do something like this, the first ever televised cabinet meeting at Camp David, there's something to be said about that. We don't really know what, but there's a reason he's doing it. It's a flex. And I tell you what, the globalists know what it means. They know what it means. And that's ultimately what's most important. What also happened yesterday, Scott Bessent and the Treasury Department, what'd they announce? Well, Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control sanctioned 6 entities and individuals in China, India, Russia, and Iran. So much for everybody thinking Trump's too easy on China and Iran, or on China and Russia. Oh, see, the fact is, folks, we're all dealing with each other. Trump is trying to get us more into a sovereign world where we're not fighting all the globalists all the time, where all this proxy countries being operated by intelligence agencies, fed by intelligence agents, where that goes away, but doesn't mean there's not going to still be competition. It doesn't mean these countries won't still do what's best for themselves, even against us sometimes. And so what does he do? Well, it is interesting, real quick. He says 6 entities and individuals in Iran, or in Russia and China, India, and Iran, not the countries themselves. Now that's interesting. Including multiple companies serving as general sales agents for the U.S. and European Union. Oh, wait a second. The globalists? Did he just sanction companies, globalist companies in these sovereign nations? That's what it sure looks like. General sales agents for the U.S. and European Union. Sanctioned Iranian airline Mahan Air, though Mahan Air represents itself as civilian carrier, it's long played a central role in enabling the IRGC. There it is. There it is. Isn't that funny? It always comes back, doesn't it? It always comes back to the globalist controlled entities. Fascinating. Debriefing breaks it down well here. It says, yesterday, Treasury designated 6 entities across 4 countries in a single action. China, India, Russia, Iran. 3 of those countries are geopolitical adversaries of the U.S. All 3 had commercial entities designated for materials supporting IRGC. Through Mahan Air, the U.S. says moves weapons, operatives, and military equipment for the IRGC while presenting itself as a civilian carrier. 1 action, 4 countries, 6 entities, all designated under counterterrorism authority. Here's the entities. Shanghai Wings, International Logistics. Skies Travel and Logistics. India's Mahan one. It's all tied to this Mahan Air. Air Cargo Pro Limited, Russia. Mahan Air's general sales agent, Russia. Dade Niger Startup Studio, Iran, and IRGC front company disguised as a tech startup, solicited locations of American and Israeli military equipment, and received strike requests for U.S. targets in the Middle East. Logistics company in Shanghai, travel agency in India, cargo firm in Russia, and a startup in Iran. How much of these things are just always fronts for the globalist plans, the globalist military actions, their attempts to destabilize, their attempts to pull us into war over and over and over again. Here's what the action does. It puts stress on the network and watches where the money goes. There it is. Always where the money goes. It's an economic war. When you designate a general sales agent in Shanghai, every Chinese company that did business now has to decide, do I keep that relationship or risk my own access to the U.S. financial system, or do I cut it? Exactly. Are you going to be part of the globalist problem, or are you going to be a sovereign nation that we have legit ties with? That's the question. Same calculation in India and Russia. Designation doesn't seize the entity. It makes the entity radioactive to every counterparty that needs dollar access. Then you watch who keeps doing business with them, who finds a workaround, where does the money reroute. Stress reveals the architecture, architecture reveals the network. What have we been seeing lately? China, Russia, Iraq, several countries been purging the corruption purges in their country. Corrupt politicians, corrupt government workers, corrupt business people. And that's part of what this is. Trump, again, interesting, targeting these entities, not the companies, or not the countries themselves. On the financial enforcement, China, India, and Russia fight the U.S. on trade, tariffs, diplomacy, military positioning loudly, publicly, constantly. Section 338, tariffs on Canada, 25% Brazil, secondary tariffs aimed at China and India, and sanctioning Russia and Iran Act that passed the Senate this week. Friction is real, it's public, but when Treasury designates a Chinese logistics company, an Indian travel agency, and Russian cargo firm for supporting the IRGC, silence. Across 37 primary money laundering concern actions over 25 years, no host jurisdiction has ever defended a designated entity. Isn't that interesting? Switzerland killed Ember. Andorra arrested BPA CEO in 3 days. Cambodia extradited Shenzi to China. And yesterday, Treasury reached inside 3 of the framework's 5 sovereign powers simultaneously and designated their commercial entities for enabling a terrorist enterprise. Let's see what happens in the response. Will they defend any of these? It hasn't happened in 25 years. He says Dade Neger is the one who should keep you up at night. Startup studio, that's what it called itself. In reality, it was an IRGC front company that built a website soliciting locations of American Israeli equipment and strikes for U.S. targets. Intelligence collection operation running through a commercial front that looked like a tech company. Wow, that is pretty crazy. Bessent said 11 days ago from a Podium 70 Country Summit, he said again, those who provide financial services, logistics, or commercial support to the IRGC or Mahan are helping sustain terrorist enterprise. Watch the money. Fascinating stuff, folks. Fascinating stuff. But it tells you the Trump administration understands more than anyone else. Real war is financial war. You win the financial war, you win the war. Iran itself, the IRGC itself, said we are more afraid of the Treasury than we are of the War Department. There it is. You dry up the money, you end everything. You end the bombing, you end the restocking, you end their ability to pay their people, to keep a military staffed. It all falls apart. It's all going to collapse while the infrastructure is already being caved out by the bombing. This is how we win, folks. And this, to me, is another step forward. This happened yesterday. At the same time, it's a peace agreement with Gaza, getting them to disarm from the Board of Peace. All of that happening at the same time they decide to invade Spain. Coincidence? I don't think so. But maybe you guys can decide on that. To me, it looks like Trump is overwhelmingly winning this geopolitical war against the globalists. And they are in outright panic because of it. And as a result, we're going to see crazier and crazier stuff. The good news is, so far we've seen that the vast majority of what they've been able to do has been in the more leftist areas, because that's who has the leadership who will allow it. Trump's closed off our borders. We have red state governors protecting those states. For the most part, Americans, we're going to be fine through this the way it's going, as long as we keep Trump in charge. And unfortunately, trust them or not, Republicans in general, because at least right now, they're not completely overrun by the globalists, City of London, the same way the Democrats are. Folks, this was their planned future for us. This was it. And they're not even trying to hide it anymore. Thankfully, if nothing else, and there is a whole lot else, but even if Trump had done nothing else, he stopped this. And that alone makes him the greatest president of our lifetimes, because this truly was what they were going to do. All right, guys, hit that like, that subscribe. Got a lot more coming today, but if you like that segment, hit the like and subscribe. Let me get into the chat. I did see, let's see here. Super chat came in from MTX says, where is it? MTX 485 with a $10 super chat. Thank you so much. Says it's amazing Israel gets blamed for Spain's socialist leaders' decision to return what Islamists view to be their land. It's almost like the Red-Green Alliance acts and deflects as a strategy. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. But at the same time, we have to, I'm not saying Israel planned this or pushed it forward. That's not what I'm saying. But there is, and we have to be honest about this, there's still a globalist element in Israel. There's still a deep state element in Israel. Is it possible that deep state element was part of coordinating this? And we have to be open to that. As long as there's a deep state in every country, even Israel, then we have to be open to these things. And that, yes, that will be used to create a psyop that maybe Israel did all of it, which is stupid. But we have to also be honest. There is truth amidst all the lies sometimes. And so that's what we have to be open to. I'm not saying one way or the other is true, but we have to be open. Dong says, GJT going for the kill shot, take out their business, make them broke, dissolve influence over people who knew an expert businessman was exactly what we needed. Hallelujah. Amen. Amen. Very good. Let's see here. Tiffany says, I met a Mexican selling brand new Honda generators for half price. I said, you stealing these? He told me a Chinese guy got him a grant for 3 years, $70K a year for free from Uncle Sam for business. That's insane. Lisa says, when it's just men, they're raiders and pillagers. When the invaders bring women, they're invading with the intent to colonize and settle. Yeah. Or they also rape all the women and try to take over that way. It's crazy. Maloney's a dual personality. She sure has been lately, hasn't she? Lisa Couture says, I'm frustrated by the psyop still happening throughout the online influencer world. I pray they get exposed in a big way, lose their money, influence, and maybe charged with treason. Well, we can hope, especially if they are being funded by foreigners, but we'll see where it goes. Michael Largenti says, these people didn't swim 3 to 5 miles over open ocean with currents and waves, and they were dropped off 100 yards from the beach. 100%. It was all created, all coordinated. Absolutely. You're late. All right, guys. Well, got a lot more to come. Again, as always, questions, comments, throw them in the section. I will tag me so I can see them. I do my best to talk to you guys when I can and when I can find the stuff. But man, I tell you, it is a wild time right now, as you can see. So much crazy stuff happening. It's but headed in the right direction. I did already say it, but do not underestimate what a big deal this is right here. Because if this holds, and the way we're trending, I have no reason to think it won't once it's all fully implemented. This will stabilize the Middle East, especially once Iran's taken care of. You get Gaza, the Hamas to disarm, that's nuts. That's absolutely nuts. So, Lisa says, Ace, Trump should put Pulte in as acting AG. They'll put Blanche in right away. They will. Here, the good news is Blanche, they can't get rid of him because he'll keep nominating him. And every time Trump nominates Blanche, which we're going to be talking about Blanche next. Every time Trump nominates Blanche, it restarts the clock. By the way, I didn't get to this in the segment, but we're going to be covering this hopefully a lot next week, but this cabinet meeting looks fascinating. Rubio coming out and saying the ICC is an illegitimate organization, comes after you if you're not even a member of the court. They're continuing to put our foot down that we are sovereign and you will not mess with the U.S. This is great stuff. Great stuff. But going back to Blanche, it's clear they're terrified of him. It is because, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, but they are trying to stop him from coming in at every opportunity. DJ, man, what's up? Yeah, you missed a lot, bro. You missed the whole first segment. What you doing? Okay. The U.S. is running the operation of overtaking Spain's borders. Are you stupid? Like, that is a crazy. You said my take's stupid. Well, I'm saying your take is retarded. You think the U.S. is behind the mob, but I can tell. So, yeah, okay. So it's Mojus. You're one of those Mojus guys. Okay, Paul. You should just go do another show because I'm just going to keep calling your takes retarded over here because that's a retarded take. Mother Jews, Trump's owned by Israel. Ooh. This is such a stupid take that anybody with half a brain. See, the take of Israel owning the U.S. is now so absolutely retarded that every time I hear it now, I know automatically I cannot trust anybody's opinion, that person's opinion on pretty much anything else, because it's so obvious. It's like 2 + 2 = 4. Do you come to me and say 2 + 2 = 5? I know I can't trust your ability to critical think on anything else. So when you bring me the Trump's controlled by Israel nonsense, I immediately know you're a moron. And so just move on. Go do something else. Go watch another show. Go back to your little bubble, your area of retardation, because there's nobody here is ever going to like fall for that nonsense anymore. So I've yeah, Rubio pushed for Morocco to have that land. So Trump, who's the big border sovereigntist, who is literally setting all these other countries free, is all of a sudden opened up the doors for Morocco to invade Spain. That makes perfect sense, doesn't it? That makes so much sense, dude. I like how you took one thing that Rubio said to a sovereign nation and all of a sudden this means this. When clearly the globalists are the ones who always do open borders, whether it's Biden, whether it's the UK, whether it's France, go on and on and on. Germany, every single globalist. But no, I don't connect patterns. I see a quote because the Jews control Trump, and so I have to anything that helps my bias take is what I'll believe, despite the overwhelming evidence to the contrary. Bro, you have been psyoped, and I don't know if you're stupid or if you're just choosing, if you're bought and paid for as a bot, but now you're gone. I will read his last comment though. It says the U.S. government promoted the land being transferred to Morocco. You're an effing shell. Well, guess what? You're a bot and you're good. You're bye forever now. Bye, retard. We won't miss you. Guys, this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. Like yesterday, when I engaged with a lot of people having a real conversation, trying to break things down, versus the guy who comes on my show and is just trying to make a point and, turn the crowd against me, get everybody believing his take, just throwing out retarded talking points. That's how you get a ban. That's how you get a ban. Yeah. He probably never heard of Suit until yesterday. Bye. We won't miss you. We won't miss you. Go back to Candace. Go watch Tucker. Those, the retarded people. But hey guys, you know what that means? We're on the right track every single time. I'm on the right track. The shills show up, and isn't it perfect? I love my entire show is basically based around destroying narratives and psyops. That's like the main gist of my show. And every time we have a psyop that's developing to break, what happens? The exact psyop shows up in my chat through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bots, always delivering the exact psyop that I'm already showing you guys just is not true. And that tells you they're afraid of it going, they're afraid of it being unwound, because it's insane, but it's hilarious. It makes me happy. I love when the bots show up. It just, speaking of bots, speaking of psyops, you guys ready? Because that's what we're going to be talking about a lot in the next segment. Because that's what a part of what Trump's doing justice-wise is all about. And Dong says the trolls won't be missed. They purposely try to derail the show so you don't hear what you plan. And you know what? That's why I block them. That's why I do what I do. See, there are a lot of people who get mad that I block, but it's usually the bots that get mad. But you gotta understand, I engage with the trolls and then I block them for a reason, because most people just ignore them and they let the chat be destroyed. They let in because they're engagement farming and they want all that. Okay. But I engage them for a reason, because number one, they're not used to being challenged. They're used to just running off their mouths, whatever they say, and people just ignoring them. When you challenge them, they really show who they are. And then everybody else sees it. And so nobody else gets sucked into the psyop. And then you reach a point where it's so obvious, and that's when I block. That's when I block. Because when you get to the point where they're not adding anything anymore, you got them to the full freak out mode. And when they get to the part, like his very last line, "You're an effing shill, bro," that's when you know, okay, I got him to break. And once you get them to break, they're not adding anything anymore. So that's when you get them to break. It's beautiful. Dong says it's almost like the psyops are algorithmically triggered and ran by AI to do the work of millions for a handful of people. Well, you know what they do? They watch. So they know they'll be sitting on YouTube and they'll be typing in Spain invasion, and they're watching for all the shows about it. And there's what's being talked about. And they like mine because it's a live show, right? And so then they target it and they say, oh, yep, here we go. Boom. And I don't get targeted as much as like the big shows because I don't have that many viewers. So, but they do trickle in. And I've also blocked way more than others. And so, do I have another channel? No, that's my channel. But yeah, so that's what they do. They look for, where can we seed our narrative? All right. And that's why they find mine. And whenever I'm over a target on something and they're like, okay, it's time to push a narrative. And they definitely want to push a narrative right now. Because guys, this is terrible for them. This is terrible for them, but they're also doing it because they feel like they need to. They feel like they need to stake claim over Spain. And now we're learning, it just happened in real time, they're also using it as a psyop to get Americans to turn against Trump again, because Israel, the Jews control everything. And so we see that psyop is now being pushed as a result of this to try to get people to believe that and turn against Trump. That's why it's happening all before the midterms. It's happening before the midterms. So it's none of this is coincidence. It's all by design. It's what they do. They run these psyops. It's how the deep state works. So, a psyop is Charlie Kirk. A psyop, Bill? I don't know who Bill is. I didn't see. Is he in this chat? So, anyways, but that's why we do it. That's why we do it. Dong says a great tactic: draw in, illuminate psyops, destroy them publicly. Well, that's, listen. We've all been psyoped, right? We've all believed a lie at some point. Okay? We've all believed a lie at some point. And so the hardest thing to do sometimes is expose lies, but if you do it in real time, it's much more effective. Sunnyside says, I dissent. If someone thinks Israel, it's a very logical opinion to have. If they don't know, it's our globalist view. For 40 years, Israel supports censored U.S. control. Well, Pete, let me talk to you on that real quick. Okay. I want to address that before I move on, and then we're going to get into the next segment. But let me put it this way. There's no excuse for believing that anymore, Pete. Okay. And so when you come on my show or you're engaging in a chat like this, and if you're just spouting nonsense, that means you're not even open to learning. That means you've made your decision. And when you're watching, say, my show, where I literally spend every segment 20 to 40 minutes giving the proof, breaking things down, showing the receipts, and then having watched all of that, to come and say and just start talking to me as if they know something and pushing their narrative. There's no excuse for that. And so when they double down on it, it tells you either A, they're a bot or troll, which goodbye, or they're so gone and they're so unwilling to think, to be processed with, then they're doing the same thing as a bot or troll. And so they're also not adding anything. And I hope down the road they wake up. Maybe they won't. Maybe they never will. But it's like me debating a hardcore leftist on here. What's the point? There is no point. They're doubling down. Somebody trying to tell me, like, if they wanted to fight me, how great Stalin was. And I'm bringing up all this evidence and they're just doubling down and saying the same talking points. Well, that person might not be a bot or a troll. I'm just going to kick them out anyways. They're not worth it. They're not worth it. And so, it's about respect. It's about honor. If you're going to come on a live show where somebody is talking to you, trying to explain things, trying to understand things myself as I go through it, and all you're doing is spouting talking points, even if you're not a bot or a troll, you're doing the same thing. And so it's not worth my time and energy, and it's not worth the time and energy of the chat. You guys are spending your time with me, and I respect that time. And so that time is, I'm going to be respectful of it by kicking out the people not respectful of it. MTX with a $10 super chat says, sorry, I wasn't saying you were saying that. Yeah, they 100% have a deep state. I was referring to the amount of socialist leftists I saw online deflecting blame. They do it every time socialism fell. 100% MTX. You're 100% right about that. Totally get you. I didn't think you were trying to push a narrative. I thought it was a legit question, but thank you for clarifying. And definitely thank you for the super chat. I really, really appreciate it. Huckleberry Squid is now a member. Thank you, sir, for supporting the channel. Welcome to the Members Lives, which I will have a Members Live this weekend. I wanted to last weekend. And then, like I said, my wife left me. She left me for 4 days and then she came back. But while she was gone, I got too busy and I wasn't able to get around to it. I suck. Summertime, I have sucked on the Members Lives and I'm totally owning up to it. I'm sorry, but life's been cray-cray. My daughter just got her first job. I'm shuttling her around because she doesn't have a driver's license, blah, 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 all this other stuff. But Members Lives are going to get a lot better, especially once the fall hits and we have a regular routine in my household again. Okay. All that said, I'm finally ready to get on to the next segment. Thank you guys, by the way. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your support. This is the best community on YouTube. Amazing. I love you guys. I really do. Let's get into it. So, PSYOP time. Here is one of the craziest PSYOPs on the internet for the last few months. Actually, over a year now. Epstein. Guys, tell me they're panicking without telling me they're panicking. Todd Blanche has been about to be confirmed now for several days, and they keep postponing it. There is an all-out war to stop Todd Blanche from being confirmed as Attorney General. It's not going to stop him from doing what he's doing. He can be up there as long as Trump wants, because guess what? Trump gets to appoint him as acting Attorney General, which means he can do the job, and then he can nominate him. They could mess around. He can pull the nomination and the clock starts all over again. Trump can play this game forever. Can they? Who knows? But the question is, now we have Tillis and Cornyn trying to stop him from coming in. Why? It's a whole deep state operation. Stop Attorney General Todd Blanche from taking the helm. And here we have more of it. As the Epstein survivors, these are the survivors, the ones from Thomas Massey that they never come forward to reveal names. They were all mostly of age with Epstein. Some of them helped groom. These were the ones in the Reid Hoffman, one of the worst perpetrators of the entire Epstein conspiracy, the trafficking, blah, blah, blah. His commercial for the Super Bowl, this was them. And what are they doing? Planning to deliver printed files to the Judiciary Committee members in the Senate in a final push to get them to reject Todd Blanche. Reject Todd Blanche. That's interesting. Why would you want to reject Todd Blanche, Epstein survivors? Why would you care at all who's going to become Attorney General unless it was somebody directly tied to Epstein, which, Blanche is not in any way, shape, or form. Why? Why would you intervene in this process? Huh. I can't think of any reason. If you're going to be mad at somebody, if you were legit victims and you really thought it was the files not coming out, remember your guy's greatest, your greatest advocates are Ro Khanna and Thomas Massey, who have access to all the files unredacted, have said they're going to name names and never have. Guys, it's all a hoax. It's the Epstein files are real. Epstein's connections are real. He did horrific things. It's all real, and there are real people involved in it. All of that's real. The hoax is how they're using it to try to end Trump's presidency and keep him handcuffed. That is the hoax. And everybody who can get in on it is getting in on it. And here is just more proof of it. This is nuts. But at this point, it's so obvious we can see it. And why? Why get rid of Todd Blanche? Well, he's very effective. Ever since he took over as acting attorney general, we've seen massive busts. Arrests have picked up. Everything is moving forward. We have the investigations going on. We have the grand juries in Florida and Russiagate, et cetera, et cetera. Things are moving quickly since Todd Blanche came in April, and they are not happy about it. Not at all. But they're not going to be able to stop it. And they're not going to be able to stop what Trump's doing at all, as even the Senate continues to confirm Trump's appointees. This means more and more people getting big jobs in the government that will last beyond this term. 4 U.S. attorneys, 4 U.S. marshals, FEMA, TSA, other posts, 74 Trump appointees in one swoop. They continue to confirm. And this is why you need rhinos when you don't have a MAGA choice, because even rhino Republicans will vote differently than Democrats, and they will at least do something. Even if they'll hold up something big like the SAVE Act, they at least do this. And over time, we'll get rid of them. We'll make it a better Senate. But for now, at least even the rhinos are making sure Trump is staffing the executive branch. So why stop Todd Blanche? Why is Blanche such a big threat to them? I don't know. You guys take a gander at that one. But all this is happening, continues to advance, and the exposure continues to happen. More and more is coming out about Fauci, as Jeffrey Tucker has gone through Fauci's files and is finding all sorts of interesting things, including Obama and Fauci on the phone together November 4th, 2021, 1 year after the 2020 election. Look at this. Call from Barack Obama. This is Fauci writing this. Leslie Dock had contacted Barack Obama, asked him to give me a call, see what he'd do to counter the slanderous lies coming from the far-right press. Obama called me tonight at 5 and offered to help me in any way he could. He started off the conversation saying he was concerned about me and how I was holding up under the onslaught of slanderous lies. He said I was a civilian. I should not have to put up with this. He is a politician. He's used to this, but I've done nothing but serve the American public and the world for decades. This guy is such a megalomaniac. He expressed concern this would interfere with my important work on behalf of the American people. Man, what a fraud. Isn't it interesting how they all play the game with each other? I explained what was going on. He was extremely sympathetic. In fact, said he would call up Ron Klain or Jeff Zients to ask them to have the administration be proactive in countering these lies. In other words, Obama was going to push the Biden administration to stand up for Anthony Fauci. I explained to him Biden as well as Ron Klain and Jeff Zients have been extremely helpful in supporting and making it clear they had confidence in me. In addition, I told him Jen Psaki had continuously said at White House press conferences when asked if the president would fire me, indeed, the president would never fire me, and this was nonsense. President Obama felt that we should do more than just claiming they have my support and actually go on the offensive and call out people allowing this to be said and are not stopping up. The offensive. How about censorship? Taking out right-wingers for their free speech and calling out free speech media, calling out free press, calling out Anthony Fauci. Let's go after him. Interesting. I told Obama about the crazy things the far-right Republicans were doing, including the fact that Donald Trump Jr. had on his website the sale of sweatshirts and t-shirts to collect money for his campaign. On the t-shirts and sweatshirts, it said Fauci kills puppies. Obama said Donald Trump Jr. is, quote, a fucking moron. He apologized for using crude language, then went on to say Donald Trump was a hopeless idiot who was a pathological liar. He was upset. None of the moderate Republicans were speaking on my behalf and distanced themselves. It was a great conversation, lasted for 25 minutes, and indeed was an incredibly memorable phone call. Fauci with some hero worship there. Isn't that fascinating? Man, it is so crazy to hear how they work with each other. Here's another one. Very interesting. Briefing POTUS in the Oval Office. Biden. That weird moment when Biden got a private lecture from Xi of China that democracy is stupid, dictatorship is better, and Biden kind of saw the point. This tells you so much, doesn't it? He refers specifically to a conversation he had with Xi Jinping, president of China. Xi told him in a 45-minute conversation he felt democracies throughout the world are failing, and given the need to have rapid decisions about important items, a form of dictatorship works much better, more efficiently than democracy. He referred to the dysfunction in the U.S. Congress as an example. Biden in his discussion with us emphasized the importance of preserving democratic principles, but did bemoan the fact that we do really have a dysfunctional situation in this country and trying to get things done in an expeditious manner. Biden showed during the discussion his empathy, kindness, his deep feeling about the importance of democracy. He had to put that in there. So funny, but freaky at the same time. Here's the group of 50 doctors called the TV doctors. Yesterday, important day during one of the Zoom calls with the TV doctors. In other words, people practicing physicians of public health, people who regularly appear on TV shows. I made it clear I was in favor of providing booster shots for virtually everyone eligible. I said to the group of perhaps 50 people, mostly doctors, the idea the only thing you have to worry about with vaccines is keeping people out of the hospital is a false narrative, since many people who don't require hospitalization suffer greatly from getting infected. I know this is contrary to the current recommendation of the CDC. However, I believe the judgment of us who should get it was overly determined by understandable consideration and lack of dose. In other words, all these TV doctors who go make the rounds on news shows, celebrity doctors, they all get together and get their narrative straight before they go on. Interesting behind the scenes stuff, isn't it? Crazy stuff. There's this little quote right here. Today I received on virtual Zoom an award for social courage. It's a shame things are moving so quickly I don't even have time to savor for a moment the many awards I've been getting. My God. Psychopath. Crazy, crazy man. Fauci's preparing the groundwork for realization admission vaccine is not going to work to end the COVID issue. If you read this carefully, he's saying, actually, you can't vaccinate about this kind of virus in a way it provides immunity. Here's the highlighted section. We do not have good vaccines to prevent infection, although we have vaccinations that prevent the progression to serious disease. I refer to flu, parainfluenza, respiratory virus, and metapneumovirus. However, viruses such as measles, smallpox, and other viruses result in viremia, and systemic involvement with virus give lifelong immunity after infection as well as after vaccination. These are important considerations very few people appreciate. He knew it doesn't work. Wow, just wild stuff. And after all this is coming out, the Democrats are ready to admit they were wrong. Because of course they are. Or, nope, they went into protective mode. Listen to this.
So Dr. Edson, obviously there are a lot of questions about COVID-19. Did you find any of this enlightening, questions or lack of answers?
Well, look, in reality, right, public service and public servants should be respected. Everyone who was in that hearing and meeting room. But what's happened is this is an assault on science and scientists. And unfortunately, Dr. Fauci is in that seat. 38 years of service to the country, one of the best known scientists for infectious disease, unfortunately has taken a lot of heat for probably a lot of...
We're doing this all over again, folks. This was an assault on science and the scientists. Because Dr. Fauci is science. Never forget it. That is craziness. They don't address what was said. They don't address the fact that he wouldn't say anything. He pled the fifth. No, it's how dare they attack science? I just like, how could anybody be in this bubble? And yet there are many, many people who are. It's very sad. It's pathetic. And it just shows you the indoctrination game they play. Now, the good news is that while these morons are continuing to deflect, continuing to make you feel stupid, if you agree with any going after Fauci, asking questions, any of that, while they're doing that, there are people waking up. There are people waking up. In fact, we have Stephen A. Smith, who, oh, sorry guys, I lost the clip. Give me a second here. I must have put it in the wrong spot. Smith, Fauci. Let me bring this up for you guys, because Stephen A. Smith is a sports podcaster who is watched by millions. He's probably the most famous man in the sports world right now when it comes to talking sports, and then he touches on politics too. He has a massive audience, way bigger than CNN, way bigger than Abby Phillips. And after he watched the hearing, here's what he had to say.
This was not a good day for Dr. Fauci. He looks very bad. Very bad. And yes, through the advice of his lawyers, and yes, your lawyers compel you to do something, and they probably wanted him to plead the fifth on many occasions before he finally relented and did it yesterday. But the bottom line is, this man held dominions over the lives of a nation, if not the world, with what he was imploring and mandating. Everybody was listening to him. As Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. pointed out on Hannity last night, he accused Fauci of misleading the country when it came to masks. Fauci was damn near encouraging us to wear 2 and 3 masks at a time. We damn near could breathe. How about the 6-foot social distancing? We can't ignore that. Where'd he get that from? He later admitted that it wasn't backed by science. He's just coming up with this stuff. The lockdowns, the natural immunities, the vaccine's ability to prevent infection and transmission. Fauci's pulmonary infarction following vaccination that he didn't reveal to the public, but he wrote about it in his diary.
Ooh,
this is all shady shit.
He went there.
It is. And the Democrats have nothing to say. Wasn't it the Democrats that was enforcing stuff?
Boom.
People lost their jobs. Businesses went out of business. Folks' quality of life was severely compromised. And we had reached a point in our society where if you even questioned Fauci, as opposed to celebrate him, you were in trouble.
This guy has an audience, mostly Democrats or independents, mostly middle of the road people, some hardcore lefties, sports watchers, that is larger than Alex Jones, Candace Owens, and Tucker combined. His audience is larger than MS Now and CNN combined. This man has a massive audience. He is a Democrat. He's open about it. He doesn't love President Trump, but he's also not a psychopath. He's the old school person I knew in California kind of Democrat who loved America and just, we had disagreements. For him to go after Fauci like this and say all this, this is why these hearings matter. Yeah, we might not get justice from the federal government. They might not be able to arrest him because of the pardons. They might not be willing to go down that. The Senate sure is not probably going to go after him too hard. We know how feckless they are. And yeah, be upset about it. Go for it. But don't think this hearing, these files don't have any effect, that they don't matter. They matter because there's actual voices out there with large audiences reaching people that I could never reach, that a lot of other people will never reach, that is waking people up, is saying it. And that's why this matters, folks. This is big For this all to be coming out, for somebody like Stephen A. Smith to be going nuts like that before the midterms, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. And it shows you how we continue to win, because the awakening is going to continue happening while the Trump administration continues to also do a lot of the hard work bringing justice about in our nation. Here from the cabinet meeting this morning, here's the latest on what's going on the fraud force from J.D. Vance. Listen to this.
This has been an amazing team, from Kelly Loeffler at SBA to Doug at the VA to Todd and Bobby Kennedy. This really has required a whole of administration approach to try to tackle fraud. There are a few things that I want to talk about and celebrate. The first is that just since the beginning of the fraud task force that I started under the president's leadership and direction, we have identified $230 billion of fraud that's being perpetrated against the American people, and we have halted already $56 billion of that. It's sometimes hard. Once the money has already gone out the door, it's hard to get it back. But stopping it from going out the door is how we save the American people. $56 billion. And of course, we're going to keep on working on that. Just today, Mr. President, we will announce 17 new anti-fraud actions that will total about $1/3 billion. And that's added to the $230 billion that we've already uncovered. And I want to just talk for the benefit of the American people about why do we care so much about this? Because what I always try to remind people is that fraud has two victims. So to give one concrete example, there is a program that is administered by Medicaid. And that program ensures that low-income moms and low-income babies have access to neonatal care. Now, I think most Americans probably share my view that this is one of the great things about the United States of America, that if we see a baby and we see a young mother that requires help, we help our fellow Americans. That's a good thing. It's something that we should.
So they've already identified $230 billion in fraud. That's $250 billion for those keeping track. And they've already recovered almost $60 billion. That's amazing. That's amazing. And this is just the beginning. This task force has only been going on since March. How much more will they find? We have 50 states to go through. Absolutely incredible stuff. And it goes to how Trump's fixing our spending problem. This is something I don't see many people talking about. How Trump has basically frozen spending, kept it in place since he came into office, despite what the Biden administration did, where they grew it like crazy. See, when people complain about Trump being a big spender, he's adding so much to the deficit, that spending was already locked in place. Congress appropriates the spending. He can't undo the spending, but what he can do is help make sure it doesn't increase. And look, Trump has frozen new government spending. It would have fallen if Congress had enacted the DOGE cuts, but of course they didn't. And here's the proof. Government purchases exploded in 23 and 24. Thank you, Thomas Massey. Thanks, Thomas Massey, for being on the budget committee and being the deciding vote to get Biden's budget passed where you didn't have a debt ceiling for a year and a half. Thank you, Thomas Massey, because it was in the summer of 23 you decided to do that. You libertarian that cares so much about our finances and our spending and being responsible. You passed it through budget committee. You were the deciding vote. Thanks, Thomas Massey, you fraud. And so the spending exploded through 24 because there was no debt ceiling. But stopped growing after Q4 24. Why? Well, because Trump came in Q1 25. Large cuts in federal spending have completely offset gains at the state and local level. Interesting. Here it is. Here is the surge under Biden. Look at this. You go to Q1 2021. That was Trump's last quarter. Coming out of COVID, coming out of Trump's term, the spending went down. Biden, 22, it's his budget's passed, and it shoots up. And since Trump's been stagnant. Incredible stuff. That's how you do it, folks. That's how you start the change. Cleaning up the fraud will help bring a lot of it back. And the more the people wake up, the more they'll demand you cut it out. That's how you do it. And of course, we've spoken many times, the border. This is one of the biggest ways to stop the fraud, stop the overspending, and stop the assaults on the American people. And look at this, as far as what the Trump administration is doing, one of the greatest successes. Because we elected Trump, illegal migration has been halted for over a year. Legal migration is halved and asylum approvals at its lowest in decades. continues to fall down. But Trump's not doing anything. Trump promised mass deportations. I don't see it, bro. Yeah, because you're listening to a bunch of retards psyoping you who have nothing except trying to take out Trump. Yeah, even people on the right, Tucker Carlson, Alex Jones, they're all psyopers. They keep you in a perpetual place of distress and discouragement. That's how they're going to keep their audiences. That's how they keep making their money. It's all psyops to continually keep you hopeless so that things don't actually change. Well, things are changing and the charts prove it. They prove it. And Trump, speaking of this, has just made a big push in another aspect. Again, his administration has been hitting it from every angle, how to fix the immigrant problem. And here's another big one. The truckers should like this one.
For many years, American highways and roadways have been terrorized by unqualified illegal aliens dangerously driving big rigs like that. You got to know something to drive. Wow, that sucker is a big one. That's big stuff. But they're you have to have a knowledge, you have to have a talent for it, and these people don't have that. They are driving big rigs, semi-trucks, and tractor trailers, all because radical left maniacs at the state level have issued them commercial driver's licenses, even though they're not entitled to have them. They don't speak the language for the most part. Many of these illegal aliens don't even come close. They don't want to learn the language. They don't care about the language, and they don't speak it. They don't speak English. They cannot read basic road signs. In many cases, they've engaged in reckless driving that has caused many, many preventable deaths, too many to even talk about. Last August, 3 innocent people were killed in Florida when an illegal alien from India made an unlawful U-turn, blocking all the lanes of the highway and causing a catastrophic crash. It was a disaster. Just a few weeks ago, a Pennsylvania state trooper was killed by an illegal alien from Haiti driving a semi-truck. He was let in by Joe Biden and the open border policy of the Biden administration. By the way, today we have the safest border in the history of our country.
Amazing stuff. Taking away these CDL licenses, I believe they're revoking 24,000. And they're specifically looking to give those licenses to veterans. This is also going to be very good for truckers. Truckers who were competing against these people who would take lower wages and do terrible things for them, probably increasing their trucking insurance. Guys, this is the kind of thing that shifts culture for a long time because we don't think about how much trucking impacts all of our economy. The mass movers, it does so much, always moving food, goods, you name it, by the billions and billions of pounds of product moving every day throughout this country. Truckers. And those truckers, I know some of them, they watch this show because they got a lot of time on their hands driving. I hear from them a lot and how bad things had gotten under Biden, especially after COVID, especially during COVID, how rough it's been. This is the way you start fixing it. And that also eventually will bring better prices, all that, as you get a more stable trucking environment. And oh yeah, let's not forget that they've killed dozens and dozens and dozens of people, hundreds of people on the highways by being drunk, high, not really knowing what they're doing, just crashing out on people. It's insane. This is a huge deal from the Trump administration. Huge deal. And all these changes, folks, are being done in a way that's changing the foundation of our nation. And that impacts culture as well. In fact, something that you think of as small as music has been completely changed in the last few months. USAID, since Trump dried it up, what's happened? Rap music has basically disappeared. One of the big pushes on the black population in the early 90s, late 80s was the introduction of rap music. And yeah, you can trace it to CIA. That's wild. I know some of you probably listen to rap and like it. Listen, there's some rap songs I like, but it's definitely traced to CIA. Why? Rap's always about well, not always, but the vast majority of rap is pretty demoralizing, pretty discouraging, and pretty angry. Keep you poor, keep you down. But now our culture's shifting. First time since 1990, no rap songs in the Billboard Top 40. Average rap songs in the top 10 with USAID for the last 30, 40 years, 4 a week. Now 0. I don't think that's a coincidence, folks. USAID was openly funding rap in Bangladesh and Cuba to create street protests and political dissent. You know what now is the biggest music in the country? Country music. Sorry, I know some of you guys don't like country music. I love country music. Well, not modern. I don't like the hip hop country, which was interesting. I tried to take it over, even hip hop up country. But regular country music is now dominating the airwaves. It's always been the most popular, but they wanted you to believe you're a dumb hick if you listen to it. Psyop, psyop, psyop. None of this stuff. How much of our last 40, 50 years, how much of it was just lies? How much of it was all a lens we were seeing through that just was not truthful? How much were we led to believe that is actually fake? We're not going to know for a long time. We're not going to know for a long time. And it's absolutely wild the changes are happening. And then there's the health front where Secretary Kennedy and the MAHA movement has been one of the most psyop detect areas of the Trump administration. And why? Because it is the most popular with suburban moms. Out of all the things Trump was doing and got voted in for, the most popular thing with women is the health movement. It's one of the reasons he won so handily, because people believed in this. And so what have they done nonstop since Trump came into office? They've said that the health movement isn't doing anything. They're pushing out RFK. He's not being able to accomplish anything. Instead, he keeps doing a lot of stuff. In fact, he just got Gavi to eliminate all mercury from their vaccines. He's already gotten the vaccine schedule down. He's remade the food pyramid. He's done dozens and dozens of things. And now getting mercury out of vaccines. That's huge. Huge. But here's the bigger one. Because this is cultural. This is a cultural shift. And this tells you that the MAHA movement is alive and well and winning. RFK Jr. says government's war on saturated fat and protein drove Americans towards ultra-processed food. True. There's been a war on saturated fats for almost 70 years. Government had been lying to us, telling us protein caused heart attacks. There was no science that supported that. When you don't eat protein, you eat something else. It was ultra-processed. 70% of the calories our children were eating were ultra-processed food. But you know what he's accomplished since then? Look at this. There's a lot of Fauci stuff. Right here. RFK announces real food is outselling processed food in America. Guys, it has been years, decades since this has happened. Between June 25 and June 26, real food outsold processed food by 7%. We flipped it. This is cultural change that will bring long-lasting health to our nation. Yogurt sales increased by 15% as more families embrace nutrient-dense fermented food. Americans are showing they want real food. Our job is to make that choice easier. Tell me again how MAHA's not working. Tell me again how Trump's not doing anything. What a psyop. It's nonstop. They lie to us because of the change Trump is bringing about. This is the most fundamentally shifting presidential administration in modern history since Abraham Lincoln. No other president has accomplished what Trump's accomplishing. It's only been 18 months. We got 2.5 years left, folks. This is amazing what's happening, and this is the kind of change that lasts for a long time. And we know they're scared of it, and we know they care because what they're doing, they're trying to slow it down and stop it. Because they know, while Trump's winning on all these fronts, justice is coming. And so they're going to do everything they can to stop it, like try to keep Todd Blanche from officially becoming Attorney General. That's all you need to know, folks, about how they're losing and how scared they are. They'll do anything they can to make it stop. And that, when you want to know if you're winning, look to what your enemies are doing. Tells you all you need to know. Okay, hit that like and subscribe, folks. I got lots more coming. We're going to get into some midterms updates and then end in a grifter report. So hit that like and subscribe. Let me catch up, though, with the chat because I did see some stuff come in. A lot of people commenting. I speak for you with a super chat. $10 super chat says, I don't understand how the government trusted Fauci after the harm he caused during the AIDS pandemic in the 80s and 90s. Well, first of all, it's not that they trusted Fauci. It's that he was doing what they wanted him to do. He was accomplishing their goals of taking over the health of the nation, making us weaker, making us fatter, making us less likely to fight back, making us more dependent on them, getting the money from the big pharma. All that, folks, is why they kept him in. He was doing exactly what they wanted him to do. And so it's not that they didn't care that he was failing. They liked that he was failing. You understand? So that's, once you understand that, it makes a whole lot more sense. So there you go. That, I hope that helps you understand why. And thank you for the super chat. I greatly appreciate it. I greatly appreciate it. You have more control over the population when you control their health. English with a $5, was that pounds? Super chat. Thank you so much, English. And I don't see a comment though. Let me double check here. Yeah, no comment. Well, thank you, English. I didn't see the comment. I think it's already been lost in the chat. So English, if you want to hit me up with a comment, just tag me and I'll make sure to answer it because I didn't see one with the super chat. But thank you for the support of the show. CE Will Texas says, this is exactly why Hegseth made the announcement about treating men for testosterone replacement therapy. Absolutely. 100%. 100%. Let's see. Somebody got banned. Lots of trolls today. Chiosab with a $5 super chat says, besides Maha, another way to fight obesity is through communism, where everybody loses weight together except for the dictators in their team. You're right. We could do that. We could just lose a bunch of weight by starving to death. You're right. That's one way to do it. That is definitely one way to do it. Well, what they do, being overweight, being, eating bad food, losing muscle, it weakens you. So you can't fight back. And then when they get full control, then they'll starve us. That's how you do it. That's what they do. So, but interesting take there. All right. Next, guys, we're getting into where things are looking for the midterms. We got, I'm telling you right now, without something catastrophic shifting everything, we're going to win the midterms. Everything's trending in our direction. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but we're also going to talk about how they might have something catastrophic planned. And we'll get into that in a minute, what some people are seeing. Kevin Copperland with a $10 super chat. Thank you, Kevin, my friend. He says, exercise is the best testosterone replacement program. Absolutely. Exercise and sunlight. Get outside. Get outside, exercise, get your sunlight, and at least an hour a day. And then also red meat. Red meat's very, very good for testosterone. DJ, you're not convincing me on the Bidens, brother. Not good luck. Good luck with that one. One of the many says, I think the people who hate Trump can't even process the fact that all the fraud money we're recovering could directly impact their lives in lower cost Texas. They don't want to. They don't want to. For one thing, so listen, when you are super black-pilled, when you're in a bubble, and, misery loves company. That's true. When you've decided to partner with hopelessness, when you have chosen not to choose hope, chosen not to see the hope in things, believe for the future, believe that you have agency. When you've chosen that, you look for reasons to stay there. Some people call it, I'm just being realistic. Well, that's almost always code for, I just want to stay negative, bro. So once you get to that point, it's almost impossible to break them out. And so when they see fraud and stuff, they have to just believe that it's not real, or that that it actually doesn't matter. They'll come up with every excuse. Oh, that's just a drop in the bucket. That doesn't change anything. Oh, they're just going to keep it for themselves, those greedy politicians. We won't see none of that. They're always going to have an excuse. And once a person gets in that place, nothing can change their mind except for some circumstances that might wake them up. But unfortunately, many people, they get bitter. You have two choices in life, okay? For every circumstance you face. Every person gets this choice for every circumstance. You can either soften your heart or harden your heart. So you can choose bitterness and continue to harden your heart, or you can choose humility and choose hope, choose to take control, choose to take responsibility, and you can soften your heart and grow. Those are the choices everybody faces. Some people get so bitter that they just can't break out of it, and it takes a very long time, and even still, they might never choose to break out. It's very sad. It's very sad. Robin says, I know about testosterone with 6 kids. No further comment, Your Honor. Kevin Copperland with a $20 super chat. So tail the D. What are you trying to say, Kevin? I'm sorry, man. I really appreciate your super chat. I just don't quite understand what you're saying there. Carnivore diet helped you fight Crohn's disease. That's amazing. Good for you, man. Absolutely no way we can lose the midterms. I think it's going to be a historic flip. I don't see how anyone could vote for these demons. Well, I'd hope so. That's what we're hoping for. Pete Science says, am I shadow banned? Best fan said maybe there's a third reason why people think Israel's a problem, because they are new and don't know what we know. Well, that's possible, but then don't just parrot it as if you're 100% positive that's what it is. See, there's a way to approach that is not that is okay. Because I take real questions all the time. People are actually asking questions. It's the parroting of their narratives that I don't accept. Kevin says, thanksgiving or resentfulness. Amen, man. Be thankful in all things, right, Kevin? That's what the Bible says. Turns out it's pretty good wisdom. You can always choose to be thankful about something. And it's absolutely true. So thank you, Kevin. $100 super chat, by the way. Kevin, you the man today, brother. Your support has been incredible to me, and I'm very grateful to it. And thank you. Thank you so much. Robert says, when you've lived your whole life on a lie, it's hard to make you believe anything. I think 10% of what you hear is probably true. The rest of what you hear, we don't actually know. I think it depends on how you navigate things. And it takes time. Critical thinking is a skill that needs to be taught, and it's not. What's taught is memorization and acceptance. And they do that on purpose. That's why the education system is the way it is. So, but yeah, when you lived your whole life on a lie, it takes usually circumstances to awake you. Okay, Sinner says, appreciate you. You're definitely the best interactive common sense podcast. I'm so glad I found you. Confirm the Holy Spirit discernment. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. That means a lot to me. Thank you. That is awesome. Truth is overrated. Honesty will always have merit. Well, I disagree with that, Bruce. And here I'll say, I feel like that's like a postmodernist belief. Okay. The postmodernist belief that there are no absolute truths. And so honesty is more important. Honesty is important, but truth is what ultimately matters. Jesus didn't come to say, I am the way, the honesty and the truth. He said, I'm the way, the truth, and the life, or the way, the honesty, and the life. I'm the way, the truth, and the life. Truth matters. There is such thing as absolute truth. And without it, we can never navigate our lives correctly. So you have to have, truth is more important than honesty, because you can be honestly retarded. You can be honestly stupid. It's not going to help you as much as being truthful, as saying the truth. And it's just, so I don't agree with that. That's why George Lucas in his Star Wars prequels, he started to get a little woke on us, and he had Obi-Wan. There are no absolutes, Anakin. Absolutes lead you to the dark side. No, that's all nonsense. Katie Cat, member of 31 months. Awesome, Katie. Glad you made it. That's a long haul you've been here. So, no, it's not okay. You are the boss. $50 super chat for one of the many. Jeez, you guys are so generous today. Is it because it's Friday? Did you guys all get paid? Thank you guys. Do I have any future plans to do a segment on Clarity Act or dividend dollar? I'm waiting on the Clarity Act to get passed through the Senate. If it gets passed through the Senate, I'll spend more time on it. But right now it's not even law. So we'll wait to see where the movement is on that. God invites you to question, he invites you to wonder, he invites you to come to your conclusion. No, that's not true. See, and that's the problem. See, that's the postmodernist belief. God does invite you to question, he invites you to wonder, absolutely. And he invites you to discover truth, which is his conclusions. And once you discover God's conclusions, then you found truth. And that is, guys, we were all created. We were all there is absolute truth in the universe. And without that absolute truth, if you don't find it, you will be led astray. That's the facts. You guys don't have to agree with me, but it's the facts. And you're never going to convince me otherwise. So yes, God invites you to question, to wonder, but he does not invite you to come to your own conclusions. That is not true. He invites you to find his conclusions. And over time, every single critical thinker, honest person, I do believe, will come to the conclusion there is a creator and he loves us and is looking out for the best of us, and et cetera, et cetera. One way or the other, we'll get there. Katie Cat with $150 super chat. Oh my God. She says, I'm going to beat Kevin today. Oh no, don't challenge Kevin, Katie, but man, Katie, that's so generous of you. My God. Thank you. Thank you so much. I don't know what I did to deserve that. Katie, you've always been a great supporter. That's a bomb. Well, thank you. Again, I'm guessing it's payday. You guys are amazing. I'm so humbled by you guys. Honestly, I know I say this a lot, but the giving matters. It really does. I can't do this without the support of the channel. So every one of you who's given, every one of you who listen, everything helps. Okay. Like, support. Some people can't give. I'm not expecting that, but those who do, who enjoy this, who feel like I give them that value, it means the world to me. And even you guys spending your time with me, liking, subscribing, all that means the world to me. So thank you guys. Again, I'm just, it does. It makes me a little emotional just knowing that you guys value my work that much. So thank you. It really, really means a lot. Okay, Sooner, where do I find the previous 16 classes on the Bible? It's in go to the playlist on my channel and you'll see Understanding the Whole Bible, the 16 part series I did. I'm going on vacation again. No. Lil Roo says, I don't think you understand how much comfort you give us, allows us to be able to read. Well, thank you. That means a lot to me. See, one person saying stuff like that means a lot to me. Katie says, I'm finally in a position I can give. That's awesome, Katie. I pray for, I love giving. Always have. Being a person in the church, I understand the value of giving and how much it changes people's lives, as I've been on the receiving end of it before, that when I really, really needed it. And I understand that feeling of being in a position to finally give more is amazing. And so I'm blessed you considered me worth sowing the seed. Eric, $5 super chat. You want me to do a rap for you? Said a hip hop, the hibbit to the hip hop, and you don't stop. Rock it to the bang bang boogie to watch the show, and give me a like and subscribe. All right. That's as good as you're going to get today. All right, folks, we do have more of a show to get to. Again, thank you all so much. I will spend more time with you in between segments and at the end of the show, but I do want to get going on. There is so much to get into. And I know there's the hard news watchers who are like, get on with it, bro. So I'm going to get on with it. Don't worry. I'll get on there. In Alex Jones' voice, they never cut me alive. I'm getting high with the globalists, doing the dirty things to my life. I don't know why, but they hate me. And no, man, Alex Jones you can't rap with that voice. Jeez. Old school rap. Please stop, says Dan. I love it. That's hilarious. All right, guys. We need to talk about this upcoming election. We're about 100 days away from the midterms. In fact, I'm going to look it up right now. Midterms 2026. What day? November 3rd. So we are basically 100 days away. Man, it's kind of, it's crazy. But yeah, you guys like the Alex voice still. Susan Kokinda called out my Alex Jones voice the other day. That's wild. That is wild. Okay. But we got to talk about this. We got to stay the course. We got to be focused on the midterms because this is our great battle right now. There's always battles. There always will be battles. It's never going to end, but we're in the great battle right now. And the great battle requires, I should say, we're in the great war right now. Sovereigntists versus globalists, trying to get our nation back on track so we can lead the world and be better ourselves for our generations to come. And the great battle before us in this moment is going to be the midterms. That is where we can do the biggest part. Doing stuff like this, communicating to people, getting them out to vote, that's going to be the biggest thing you can do right now. And things are looking good for the Republicans. I got to say, things are looking good for MAGA and for us in this war. Announcing the other day, another massive boost to the Republicans coming up at the midterms, which, by the way, the Democrats are starting to freak out about. The next massive boost is that Elon has officially announced he's bringing in $100+ million to help the Republicans win the midterms. And guys, I got to tell you, if it's $100 million, it might get up to 150 or more. Anything's possible. He's going to focus on swing races in Alaska, Iowa, Maine, Michigan, and Ohio. And from there, who knows? But these are the big areas for the Senate seats. And then I'm sure there's a bunch of swing seats, state rep seats in there as well. And then plans to expand to North Carolina, Georgia, and Texas. This is awesome. Elon, and by the way, Elon gave in the 24 election. He did a lot and he really made a difference. And now he's even more savvy. See, in that election, it was his first time getting involved. Imagine what he's going to do now, what his PAC can do now that they have all that experience. So this is going to be massive. And this is terrifying them, guys, because the Republicans already have the massive funding boost. And guess what? They haven't even been spending the money yet. The campaigns have barely started. This is the last day of July. Then tomorrow is August 1st. Campaign season is about to ramp up, and they have this massive cash advantage to use over the final 3 months before the midterms. That, friends, matters. Money doesn't win elections, but in close elections, it can tip you over. And that's what could be happening next. Now, one of the reasons the Democrats are freaking out is because they keep nominating retards. They nominate these psychopaths. This is the guy they chose to replace Graham Plattner. Graham Plattner, the sexual deviant, the woman abuser. They got him out. They said, whew, our problems are over. They bring this guy in. And by the way, now they can't change it. Now they're past the deadline. And this man has 2 children with his cousin. Are you serious? Can they not find a regular white man? White men don't exist in the Democratic Party unless you're corrupt or crazy or sick, apparently, because they thought, oh, this is going to be our regular guy, our main man. And he's a main man, all right. He's somebody who hooks up with his cousin. That's pretty gross. And already they have gone into full freak out. We got to cover this mode. And here we're at. These guys are all over the place. all over X. I've been watching it. It's hilarious. This used to not be that uncommon in the U.S. If it was a first cousin, that'd be worse. Well, it's a second cousin. It's pretty bad. I'm sorry. I'm not, I'm not even going to go there because you can't even think about it. But look at the cope. The cope is coming out. This has not been uncommon. Thank God we have people like Matt Forney. It's not common to F your cousin, you freak. It's so rare there's no date on it because it doesn't happen. Marrying a cousin is legal, but it's very rare. They can't even have date on it because it's wrong. It's wrong. That's pretty gross. Pretty gross, but you know what? This regular Maine man has 2 children with her. Yeesh. Sorry. That's pretty gross. But, how about at least they got Talarico, who's a perfectly normal guy, Christian, white man, vegan, in Texas, can't eat barbecue, probably gay, but lying about it. He's telling his Christian moderate Democrats in Texas what he thinks about the Bible.
And then the last one is maybe the most insidious. It was a new state curriculum that would teach Christian Bible stories as historical fact, as the only truth to our youngest students. And I mean kindergarten, first graders. These are kids who aren't able to think for themselves yet. They haven't formed their own worldviews. And to push propaganda, to push indoctrination on those youngest students.
This guy is a pastor. I believe he's Presbyterian. A pastor who is out there saying, I don't want the Bible taught. I don't want to propagandize the youth. Are you kidding me? This guy's insane. You know what I say about, as a Christian, as somebody who was a pastor for 20 years, who served in the church, pastor for 10 years, served in church for 20 years, raised Christian. You know what I say? Propagandize your children with that stuff. Teach them Bible stories. Tell them the truth, what I believe is the truth and is the truth. But do it. And guess what? Every Christian believes the same thing. Every real Christian believes the same thing. Every pastor should definitely believe the same thing. This is insane. Don't teach your kids the Bible. Don't let it be taught. That's craziness. But that's who we're dealing with, But, compared to, this is Talarico, the guy in Maine, Troy Jackson, and then there's this, who, Jamila Presley, part of the squad. Well, turns out, what? A dead person in her house? MA medical examiner officially rules death of woman found dead in home owned by Presley's ex-con husband a homicide. Victim identified as Yosielana Ann Marte Ocasio, 18. A murder victim found in the sitting rep's husband's home. Wow. This is the Democrats, folks. This is the Democrats. Just finding murder victims in homes. No big deal. We'll vote them through. Man, I tell you, if this stuff got out there, you cannot, they would never win a seat. But people, this is covered up. This kind of stuff's crazy. This stuff is crazy. It's crazy. But this is who the Democrats are. And it just keeps coming out more and more just how disgusting these people are. Here's the latest on Governor Newsom, who was going to run for president, although at this point I don't know if he's going to embarrass himself by doing it. The Oppo research is already coming out so huge. Newsom dated a 19-year-old restaurant hostess when he was 38. Ew. This is all part of the story coming out about how he hooked up with this chick and had Kamala Harris cover it up for him. Told her not to go public with it. But yeah, she was 19 when he was 38. No big deal. No big deal at all. And Kamala Harris, this is how she got rich. She just bought a new $8 million mansion in a neighborhood with pretty much no black people. So much for DEI, folks. This is actually in the New York Post, so this stuff's going out there. By the way, this will be probably the Democrat nominee in 28, which means this is the best they have. When this is the best you have, when Kamala Harris is your best shot, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. and they know it. They know they're in trouble, which is why James Carville continues to freak out, because not only are these people insane, corrupt, gross, retarded, for lack of a better term, oh yeah, they're also being overtaken by communists. And this has Carville, he's fine with Kamal's $8 million mansion. He's fine with the dead bodies in homes. He's fine with the Clintons suiciding every other person they meet, but he's not fine with them saying who they really are as communists.
Let's take in Michigan. Now, Al-Said is partly competent, but he's way left. I see challenges from the, quote, progressive left, unquote. And these people are too hard-headed to know that they're not popular. People don't like them. And but if you get a skewed turnout in a primary, you might end up losing a race that you should have never lost in the first place.
When you say progressive left, there's a tone of contempt there.
So you were very wise. I hope the camera was able to pick up the contempt.
How do you think the Democrats feel that their guy, their genius, their mastermind, their election mastermind, who came up with the phrase, "It's the economy, stupid," how do you think they feel about the fact that he hates what's happening in the party, that he's freaking out about it, that he's calling the progressive left stupid and hard-headed because they're losers, saying it with contempt in his voice? How much do you think they love that? What a sign that things are not well on the Democratic side of things. And of course, Harry Enton, my favorite New York Jew, is here to share a little bit of how that whole socialist experiment's going for him. Tell us, Harry. Tell us what you think.
What do we see? We've seen those Democratic Socialists.
Even CNN is giving it a label. Remember, this is their voters they're talking to. No Republican, no self-respecting, well, I won't say Republican, because Republican can mean a lot. No self-respecting conservative or MAGA person's watching CNN. Okay? I watch these clips of Harry and that's it. No self-respecting person sitting there watching this live. Democratic Socialist Summer. This is being parroted to independents and left-wingers watching CNN. They are even, you know how dangerous it is for them to do marketing terms like this that get stuck in your head? There are regular people who are not going to like this. This is a mistake, and yet they're going all in on it. It tells you they're either stupid or they're hedging their bets. But this is a mistake to do this, because this will turn off a lot of independent voters.
Really thrive in big urban areas, right? New York, Pennsylvania, you go out to Colorado. Well, it's no longer just in the urban areas anymore, at least according to the casualty prediction markets. We got a Wisconsin Democratic primary going on. We got Hong, who is running, who is now, in my opinion, the clear favorite to win that Democratic nomination. She's a Democratic socialist.
Guys, if this chick wins, which she's probably going to, this means Wisconsin is in play for the Republicans. This is so bad for them.
Chances up like a rocket. On June 30th, it was just 41%. Now a 96% chance to be the Democratic nominee in Wisconsin, a Democratic socialist according to the casualty prediction markets. So this is not just happening now in New York, Philadelphia, Denver. It looks to me like it's going to be happening in a place like Wisconsin, which of course is a very purple state.
Yeah, purple state. Mostly Republicans and common sense Democrats, old school Democrats. Wisconsin is not far left, despite what they want you to believe about it. It's where I was born, actually. I don't remember it. I was a baby, but I was born in Oconomowoc, Wisconsin, and it's probably why I like beer and cheese and why I can't get rid of these chubby cheeks. But that's okay. I embrace my roots. Regardless, it could flip because of this, because this is scary to the middle of the road people. And if the middle of the road people watching CNN are seeing this and saying, oh my God, that's spreading, they're either going to sit out or they might even convince themselves to vote red. And what will help them vote red is if the economy continues to improve. Well, here's Kevin Hass on the latest employment numbers.
Right. Well, I think that what we were looking at when you and I talked last was the really surging domestic demand. And so final sales within the U.S. were about 4%, actually, almost exactly the number we talked about, 3.9%. And the reason why the top line number was 1.5 was that we imported so many capital goods because we're building factories so fast that the number was different than we expected by a little bit. And the bottom line, though, is that if you look at that, so the huge surge in capital spending, which means there's downward pressure on inflation because there's upward pressure on supply, plus CPI and PCE, those two reports were about as good as you could ever hope to see if you were a Federal Reserve governor, then it means that the economy is really running on all cylinders. Finally, don't underestimate the labor data. So initial claims for unemployment insurance are the lowest they've been since the 1960s. And as you know, Maria, the labor force is much bigger than it was in the 1960s. And so to have claims that low is a sign that we really are running on all cylinders.
The economy is turning. Q3 should be excellent. Should be. We'll get to that in a minute. We're trending in the right direction. The next 2 years, as we get through this season of all the turbulence, the Democrats, the media, everybody fighting to keep things down, doing everything they can to slow down Trump's agenda so that he is not popular, so that the Republicans can't win the midterms. We're amidst all of that right now. And yet the policies are picking up. And eventually, all this good news is going to reach people in a way that they can't deny it anymore. They'll start noticing how much lower prices are. They'll start noticing they're making more money. All of it will happen. That's the trend we're on. But we're right now catching it in the early phases, and the early phases look very good. But some of the early phases have converted already to people's pockets. We talked about truckers in another segment, how Trump is getting rid of the illegals. Well, look at this. Truckers' wages under Trump up 7% in the first 18 months. And that's before eliminating all the immigrant drivers, which he's now about to do. Under Biden went down 3% over 4 years with inflation going. So truckers got to be in a very bad place. But you know what this signifies, guys? This signifies the fixing of the real economy, because truckers are a symbol of what's happening in the real economy. The growth of goods being sold. You get that truckers get more shipments as more people are buying. So this is all a symbol of the real economy growing. And Republicans, to their credit, at least in the House, also keep trying to get things done. We just got past President Trump's healthcare plan. And guess who? Of course, Thomas Massie was against it. But the Republicans just pushed through a bill allowing Americans to buy insurance in the groups to save money on premiums. Trump's plan of trying to get the money to the people so they can pick their own plans is very close to happening, although it's going to stall in the Senate. But the point is this. We're in a lame duck period until the midterms. The Senate, unless Trump pulls off a miracle and gets a reconciliation bill through, Senate's pretty much going to do nothing for the next few months until the election. After the election, we'll enter a period of stuff getting done. Why does this matter? Because right now, if the House, why is what the House passing this matter? Because if this is already busted through, it means when the Senate finally clears the midterms, they might be willing to finally pass stuff like this through as well. So more and more can be happening, folks, and it is happening despite what the media is telling us. Mike Johnson continues to be a great speaker, getting stuff through, and we need to know this stuff. We need to know it so that we understand why we're voting the way we are, and we'll do more passionately, and we can convince others to do the same, because we got to win. We got to win. We got to show up and win this midterms and end the Democrats, because if we win this midterms, guys, looking ahead, it's going to be very, very bad for them. And the other reason to vote for them is to remember how bad the Democrats are. Remember when the Democrats promised the Inflation Reduction Act would save money? Well, CBO now says 3 years later that the Medicare Part D redesign is projected to add roughly $550 billion in costs. That's only $500 billion. Oh, just a little miscalculation there. In other words, never trust the CBO. CBO is left-leaning. They're always going to side with the establishment. But it's just a good reminder that when they tell you that Trump's tax cuts are going to be bad for the economy, but this will be good for the economy, oh, that's CBO scored. It's all lies. It's all nonsense. The deep state was in full control of our country for 4 years under the Biden administration, and they were robbing from our future. That is one of the other reasons. This is the difference. See, they cost us all this and lied to our faces. And meanwhile, the actual MAGA House, which the House is pretty MAGA compared to the Senate, is trying to get us a real health plan. That's the difference, folks. And that's why we need to vote the way we're going to vote this November and win. Now, the other thing they're doing right now is the PSYOP campaign, because they don't want you to show up. They want you to think it's over. And the latest part of this is a poll that just came out saying that Tallarico was winning. Here's Seth Keshel talking about another day, another timeline full of stupid takes about blue Texas despite 189 consecutive GOP statewide wins. Well, they want you to believe that Tallarico is winning. And as he reminds us, one of the worst moments of my life observing elections was the time Biden beat Trump in Texas by 5 points. Except Biden didn't beat Trump. He lost to Trump by about 12 points. See, they always pull Texas blue to make you think we're losing. And that's what's happening right now. The PSYOP campaign is in full effect to make us think there's no hope for the midterms because Trump sucks. That's what they want to push. Rich Barris is currently doing it. Here's his big data poll. This is Rich Barris's poll. He has Republicans down 11 points to the Democrats. This is the guy who's supposed to be the MAGA, ultra-accurate pollster. He is now throwing out these polls when many other polls have the Democrats within 3 to 5 points. He throws out a plus 11, D plus 55, which, by the way, that would mean 20% of blacks will vote Republican. And thank God there's people who can see through the nonsense. No, Barris, the GOP is not getting 20% of the black vote while only being up 2 with the whites. That is absolutely true. So, again, recognize the PSYOP when you see them. Again, guys, polls lie, but trends don't. The trend has been the Republicans are actually in an overall good place. But people like Barris, who released this poll right on the trails of the Emerson and Fox News poll that were way outliers, you can see what he's doing. And makes a lot of sense. But remember, we haven't spent our money yet. We have yet to start campaigning. We have yet to see what all this will do. We have a huge advantage. And if things stay the same, we're going to win. Which brings me to whether they will stay the same. See, the Trump administration is turning the economy around, but we do have an enemy. We have an enemy, a deep state, the globalists that run the Democratic Party and run still most of the Republicans in the Senate. And they don't want to lose this midterm. So what will they do? Well, here's my friend Jim Savoldi, BAM investor. He's one of the smartest people I know about Wall Street. He has an algorithm that tracks trends. It's not 100% accurate, but he does kind of see where the money's moving and can tell you what might be coming, or at least what they want to come. And he explains right here, per my model, the reckoning is coming in August and the gutting arrives in waves all the way into October, November. In other words, his model is showing that they might try to tank the stock market. It doesn't mean they will. It doesn't mean they'll be able to. But if it does, the setup he's seeing is very bad. And that would make sense. Tank the stock market going into the midterms so that you turn everybody against Trump. Make absolute sense. It says this the setup dwarfs what we saw happen in 2000, 2008, bubbles popping. When I look across the most important global macro catalysts, USD, Japan, carry trade to treasuries to oil, this setup isn't a black swan, it's a unicorn. This is 3738, means August 2008. Good luck and be safe. Now, again, my friend Jim, his model isn't 100%, but it is fairly accurate. And so when he says stuff like this, I listen. When I talked to Blaine Holt the other day, he said everything he's tracking says something big could happen. This would be the ultimate way they try to flip the midterms, crash the stock market, scare everybody, and get us all to blame Trump and the Republicans for it. The good news is Trump could flip it around for his gain by using the crisis to his advantage, bring in a new system of economy, but that also might not be fast enough. So guys, they're going to pull off every dirty trick they can. And if they're able to crash the stock market, they'll do it. And by my friend Jim's, what he's seeing says that they are definitely going to try. We'll see if they pull it off, or if the Trump administration is able to, or has prepared for it in a way that that holds it off. But regardless, whatever happens in the midterms, even if the Democrats crash the stock market, win the House, blah, 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 whatever they pull off, long term, they are still dying. They're a dying breed, literally dying, because they refuse to have babies. January through June 26 births by state, year-over-year change. Look at this. You think people are feeling better about their lives with Trump in charge and the economy? Montana, all these red states. Montana, 5% more births. South Dakota, 3.5%. Idaho, 3%. Utah, 1.5%. West Virginia, 1.5%. And then the blue states, the liberals, 5.5% less births, 5% less births. In New Mexico, Maryland, 5%. Delaware, 5%. Rhode Island, 5%. Black births fell in 47 of 51 states. The Democrats are killing themselves. The demographic change is going to create a change into the future that's irreversible for a very, very long time. It'll take decades to undo the damage they're doing to themselves demographically. As of 2030, once we get the census, because we're going to win 28, regardless what happens in the midterms. By 28, the economy will be roaring. Even if they tank the stock market next month, October, if they pull off the midterms, the economy will be roaring going into 28. They will lose. Their plans always backfire on them. Just look at when they tried to kill Trump, take him out legally. It all backfired on them, and he rode into victory. Regardless of what happens to the House in November, long-term, folks, this party is gone. And if we do our jobs as parents, if we do our jobs as grandparents, being on the front lines, protecting our cities, staying involved, educating, paying attention, not letting them get away with lies, we're going to win for a very, very long time. And it's only going to accelerate if we win this fall. And we'll see what happens when Elon and all them and the Republicans start deploying all that cash and campaigning. Because as of right now, unless they take the stock market or something else like it, guys, we're going to win. I feel very, very confident about that. And I feel even better about how much we're going to win for the next couple decades. All right, guys, if you don't mind, hit that like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Next, we got the Grifter Report. It's going to be a short one today because there's not a whole lot that happened in the last couple of days, but we're still going to have a little fun. We're still going to have some fun. But anyways, in the meantime, I do want to catch up in the chat in between segments here. I did have, let's see here, $5 super chat from Truth Matters says, "Hey, Ace, love your show. Wish you would do an interview with Paramount Tactical, aka Gary." You know, I haven't talked to Gary before. I don't know him, but I do like him. I do like some of the things I've seen. I would definitely be open to that. So we'll see what happens. $2 super chat from Drew Sample says, "Truth is a person. His name's Jesus Christ." I agree with you, brother. Amen. Amen to that, my friend. Amen. And thank you for the super chat. Very, very appreciated. Let's see here. Violence says, "See, this is how you know Talrico doesn't believe the Bible's truth. Nobody opposes teaching the truth to small children." Absolutely. Completely agree with you on that. Harry Enton's Jewish? You couldn't tell? You couldn't tell Harry Enton's Jewish? I mean, where is he? Look at this guy. Listen to him.
Or at least according to the casual prediction markets, we got a Wisconsin Democratic primary going on.
That's like the most generic, generalist New York Jew voice and accent I've ever heard. I'm just saying. I don't know how you couldn't have known. Sorry, I just, sometimes stereotypes are real. Okay, it's just true. It's just true. But I love the guy. He makes me laugh. I need a hype button. You can hype my videos. They don't allow hyping lives for some reason. It's annoying. I wish they did. Let's see here. Sasha says, call and text 10 friends, remind them to vote for the midterms, bring 10 friends to the polling station, make 10 social media posts. Yeah, I agree. I mean, we need to treat this as if it's a presidential election. If we do, things we'll win. We'll win. Let's see here. Oh, for office? I'm not ready to run for office. Sorry. Maybe if God called me to do it and the timing was perfect, I would consider it, but I don't have any desire to run for office right now. Top 5 MAGA senators. Pete Sunnyside. That's a great question. Let's look at the senators. Let's look at who our Republican senators are right now, and we can rank them real quick. No, I don't want Republican Party. I want Republican senators. All right. Tuberville, he's up there. He's pretty MAGA. Britt's been pretty good. Rick Scott's been all right. Moody's been really good since she replaced Rubio. She's been really MAGA. God, there's so many rhinos. It's just sickening. So few of these people I like. I like Hawley, but he kind of pisses me off sometimes. Eric Schmidt's been pretty good. I mean, we don't have that many super hardcore MAGA senators. Bud's okay, but he's not very outspoken. Moreno's been all right. Husted's been all right. I mean, just going through this list, guys, can you see just how pathetic the Senate is? It's terrible. Mike Lee's been pretty good. He's the one pushing the SAVE Act really hard. And Ron Johnson's been pretty awesome. Yeah, he's been pretty awesome. Yeah, there's not that many like outspoken MAGA senators. It's very, very little. If I went to the House, though, we'd see a bunch of people we'd like. So yeah, it's interesting. Very interesting. Stephen Gardner and Pop and Politics? I don't know who that is. Who looks like a dorky Italian to you? Moreno. Yeah, I like Moreno. Lee, Tuberville, Schmitz, Scott and Hawley. Yeah, that's probably the top 5 or close to it. Yeah. If you're a male still voting Dem in 26, you might have sugar in your tank. Let's just be honest. If you're a man voting Democrat, you are you're a beta. You're just a beta male. It's just the truth. Yeah, so be honest. All right. You guys ready for a grifter report? Let's have some fun. Let's get into it, shall we? Moreno at Fauci was great. Yeah, I agree. He has been good. He's been very good. Senator Kennedy is entertaining. I wouldn't call him MAGA. He's kind of establishment Republican-ish. So, but all right, guys. Well, you ready? Let's get into the grifter report. So I figured today, Candace has been the focus of the grifter report this week because of her bombshell video and her nonsense. So I thought, what better way to celebrate a week of Candace than by playing Ami's latest video of Candace. It's always good stuff. So, but yeah, again, this week has been Candace Owens week, starring for all the grifters, a podcast to stand, Faggoland, and who does Candace better than Ami? This is exactly how I feel about Candace Owens. This is Candace Owens returning clothes at the store.
Hi, ma'am. Something I can help you with?
Yes, I'd like to return this. I'd like to return that that I bought here. I'd like to return that.
Okay, sure. Happy to help you with that. Did you bring the receipts?
Yes, I did come with receipts. I brought them.
Okay, let me see. Thank you. Ma'am, what is this?
What's the problem?
You need to bring receipts. This is just a napkin with a booger on it.
You're saying that that's a napkin with a bugar. You're saying that. I don't know why you'd say that.
Because I can see it. This is a napkin.
Something doesn't add up.
Do you have actual receipts?
But I will be bringing receipts, and I have more next week. we're getting close. You guys.
Ma'am.
You guys. We're getting so close, and I have a source very close to people at Trading Point USA who has proof they will be bringing receipts, more receipts, next week, and I can assure you that I will be back with those.
So come back next week.
In the meantime, I don't really understand why you're afraid to just use this napkin with a bugar.
What?
Are you afraid of the DNA?
Ma'am, please take your items and come back when you have actual receipts, okay?
So you're saying I can't get refunderized? You refuse to give me a refunderation?
For a refund, you'll need receipts.
Very interesting.
That's the Ralph Lauren policy, ma'am.
Ralph Lauren. Well, if you dig deeper, you come to find out that Ralph Lauren's real name is, you guessed it, Ralph Lifshitz. Ralph Lifshitz, who's a Frankist, okay?
Can we get security here, please? Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. And don't try anything, okay? This entire thing is being filmed on our security cameras.
Interesting. I'd like to review that footage.
She causing problems?
Yes. Come back when you have receipts.
Oh, man. If that doesn't exemplify exactly what I think of Candace Owens, I don't know what does. I mean, this is the woman who is now telling us, after everybody went after her for her video and how it didn't really prove anything and how nonsense she was. Well, guys, guess what? Charlie's presence has told her she's on the trail.
Thank you back to you guys as well, because I wasn't in a good place last year. I wasn't in a good place in Q1 of this year. I'm now in a good place. And I also just feel, if we're allowed to feel, I just feel Charlie's presence now. Like it's like we're on one more tour, like one more fight. Like we're just hitting the ground again right now. I know he's on our side, I guess is what I'm saying. And that energy of Charlie was just so big and so bright that we're very lucky that we have him on our side. We wouldn't want to be up against him, that's for sure. So, yeah, they couldn't cage him.
Wow.
You know, I wake up and I just see every trend dedicated to Charlie in the news and people discussing it. And I just laugh at the idiot fools who thought they were just going to end the Charlie Kirk story at a memorial convention, which was effectively thrown like it was a concert. And now those people who were so happy at the memorial event, clinking glasses thereafter,
she feels his presence. I'm so glad he's on our side. I want to go up against Charlie. Who says that? What sane person would ever say this?
I just feel Charlie's presence now. Like it's like we're on one more tour. Like one
more tour. Let's go for it again. One more go round. My subs are down. My money's down. I got to do one more round. We got to come up with one more thing. I feel his presence. This woman is insane. She's absolutely insane. And she is putting out a warning though. This tells me, like, I think Candace knows the end is near. She's starting to put out the I'm not suicidal crap. If I have all my devices seized, I'll release everything I've been holding on to immediately. Meaning she never cared about finding who killed Charlie if she's been sitting on this bombshell evidence. Exactly. She's clearly panicked. I would have to agree with that. Here's the post. If I have all my electronics seized, try not to be shocked when every piece of footage and evidence hits the internet immediately. Are you serious, Candace? Is she telling us she expects to be seized? Is the whole FARA violation thing finally coming to an end? I mean, I think it might be. I think it might be, and that would be wonderful. That would be absolutely wonderful. I mean, it's clear people keep turning on her. Nick Fuentes continues to just lay on Candace in a way that is shocking to me.
And I think that as time goes on, we need to separate ourselves out from the Tucker Carlsons, the Candace Owens, the Stu Peters, the Owen Benjamin types. These people.
Dude, do you understand like what Fuentes just said? He literally just put Tucker and Candace in the same boat as Stu Peters and Owen Benjamin. In other words, you guys are freaking insane. So Fuentes is like, I got to keep this going. I got to separate from the crazies. That's how even somebody like Nick Fuentes, who's a grifter himself, is labeling Tucker and Candace now. Being compared to Stu Peters that's a huge insult. That's worse than being called retarded. He's less than a retard. That's one of the worst people who's ever done this. He's stupid. He is so stupid. Remember when he was Stuart Peterson or whatever his name was before he changed it, and he was chumming it up with Jesse Ventura's son, lied to him about being an aspiring actor, lived at his house for 4 weeks eating his food and sleeping in his bed. Yeah, that's who Stu Peters is. You do not want to be compared to Stu Peters. And that's a low blow, Nick. Low blow.
It went from, maybe there were co-conspirators that killed Charlie Kirk. Okay, that might be the most plausible conspiracy theory about it. But it went from that to they ate his body in a ritual. And it's like, what evidence exists for that? Does that even make any sense? It went from how many people knew Tyler Robinson was going to pull the trigger before he did? Did the boyfriend know? Who had prior knowledge? Did he have help? Like, that's a valid question. Then it turns into Charlie Kirk acquired the Babylonian remote viewing device that he used to alter the future. I'm not like that was one of the ideas. Egyptian planes are following them around. They ate his body in a ritual. And I think that as time goes on, we need to separate.
How does he say that with a straight face? It's just like, it's gotten so insane. So insane. Even Nick Fuentes is like, I cannot be associated with these crazy people. That's so funny. The latest one I heard is that Charlie had a bomb implanted inside him. I'm just like, what? Oh my God. These people. But again, I think it's really coming down. It's going to fall apart on them really soon. Matt Tardio says, Candace Owens claims she has no ties to the Russian government. Just want to throw that out there. Did I mention she made sure to appear on RT while she was in town as well? But she's not. It's not Russian government. As Brian Cates throws out, she's not lying. It's the Dugan Network, which is a different story. Absolutely. And I keep telling everybody that the Dugan Network, Dugan is he's a globalist. Okay. And there's a psyop about Dugan. He's Putin's brain. He's close to Vladimir Putin. He's not. He is a globalist who gives them their talking points and they run with it. Dugan connected to Alex Jones, Candace, Tucker Carlson, Glenn Greenwald, on and on and on. He is one of the masterminds behind the PSYOP. And again, more and more, it's just clear the Dugan Network's there. So when Candace says she doesn't work for Russians, she means it, but doesn't mean she's not getting money from there. And I do think it's about to come out. I think Candace is in panic, and that's a very good thing. This to me is a panic post. And why I think it might be coming to her, because it's starting to come to others. Nick Shirley uncovered a direct link between Thomas Massey and deep state offshore companies. Now, I've shown you guys this evidence before, but more people are starting to catch on. Large Cayman transfers started right before he turned on Trump. Follow Red Lives Matter. The money trail never lies. Citizen journalist Shirley and his team exposed direct financial connection between Thomas Massey and offshore companies tied to the deep state. What he means by this is it's the same people funding the squad. We've gone over Thomas Massey, where his stuff comes from before. And yes, it's very, very shady stuff. These companies trace back to Soros, Gates, Obama, and Warren Buffett. Shirley's forwarded the research. Proper authority says now up to them to build a case. Principal conservative suddenly changed his tune once the checks started clearing. How many of these people are paid by foreigners? That's the real question. That's the real question. And we're going to watch as it all unravels. We've seen Massey. I've showed you guys his campaign donations, the 7,000 from Mohammed here and there, how it's the same as AOC and Jamila Presley, who, we just covered. Her husband has a dead body in his apartment, stuff like that. These people all funded by the same network. And we all know Soros is funding a whole bunch of it. Is he also laundering money? The same money that he gets to Massey? Is he laundering it? Is that the same people paying Candace, paying Tucker Carlson? I don't know. Who knows? Allegedly, they're all getting paid by foreigners. I'm covering myself there. But I think things are starting to unravel, the money network. And that means, guys, a lot of these grifters are going to get crazier and crazier. That's why Alex Jones is out there calling for impeachment, because Trump is going to bring us into World War III. He's already looking at a draft. This is unacceptable. We need the 25th Amendment now because Marjorie Taylor Greene says it's coming. And I believe her. Because, she called me from her $5 million mansion in Costa Rica and said, Alex, I need you to get this out there. Draft is coming. World War III. Not our kids. And then she paid her daughter $6,000 with her campaign funds. But no, we're not talking about that today. It's going to get worse before it gets better, because that's what happens when you corner these people. I have a feeling they're going to run wild for a little bit, maybe before the midterms, but after the midterms, I think it could get really, really interesting. All right, folks, that's it. I told you it was a short grifter report today, but at least we got to laugh. At least we got to laugh because Ami's amazing. Candace is wild. So had some fun. All right. I do have a little bit of time, so I'm going to try to answer some questions and comments. But for everybody else, guys, God bless you. Have a great day. I will still at the end pray, all that, but show's not over, but my segments are. So I did see something come in I wanted to address. Maybe I already did. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Chiosab with a $5 super chat says, in 22, we saw fat illegals on TV at the border. I told my live buddy, you're right. Those poor people don't have Jenny Craig in their country. That's funny. Depends where they're coming from. Some countries, man, they've been eating nothing but processed food for a long time, even though they're poor and malnourished. They get really big. It's pretty crazy. Ami is hilarious. You guys making me laugh reading your comments. Brez says, I'm telling you all, her biggest dream was to be Mrs. Chuck Kirk, and when Chuck went for the blonde white woman, she was crushed. I mean, there's something to that. There's definitely something to that. Bankrupt her and make her live in the UK. You mean actually make her spend time with her husband that she apparently loves so much, even though he's gay and yeah, crazy. He's a crazy man. Worth $250 to $300 million though, coming to him. So that's nothing. That's not nothing, I should say. Marius says, oh, by the way, ANC is not globalist. Seems our mayor party's control. Wait, what? Oh, I guess you're not talking to me. Katy Perry just married Trudeau. Are you serious? That's wild. DJ says the deep state probably took Kirk due to his influence on the youth. In hindsight, we already know subconsciously what Kirk was doing took a lot of balls. Well, yeah. I mean, they had to, to win elections in the future, they had to take out TPUSA. TPUSA was terrifying to them. They could not believe how much influence Charlie Kirk had on the youth. And you got to understand, Democrats always trend, or young people always trend Democrat, at least in recent history. So that the Democrats were losing them and he was already turning them conservative towards the future, they knew they were absolutely screwed. So it had to be take out TPUSA. They needed that. They needed him gone. Charlie was such an effective communicator and so beloved. It's so powerful because he was so smart about how he did everything that he was the biggest threat after Trump. So we couldn't get Trump. And so we went after Charlie. And one of the big questions I'm going to have for God someday is why Trump was protected and Charlie wasn't. And, one of the things I wonder is, God can protect us, but we also can make mistakes that can open us up. And I do wonder if Charlie, if he, knowing the situation, knowing how crazy things were getting, if he was still playing it a little too loose with his security going into these colleges that were getting crazier and crazier. I don't know. I can't answer that. But regardless, they're the ones who took him. It's on them. And, it's very sad. And it was a huge loss. But I'm hoping in the future we can make up for it. But it's going to take a little time. Her husband probably has her in a different house and he lives with a man. I wouldn't doubt it. Justin Mimo, Chinese Canadian spy intern NATO story keeps getting worse. I haven't seen this story. I'll have to look into that. Maybe I'll cover it next week. I did see Vivek get booed off stage. Yeah. Vivek, man, like, listen, I'm not a fan of Vivek, okay? I'm not, but I also recognize he's better than the alternative. And again, sometimes you have to fight with what you got. But yeah, he got booed.
The truth of the matter is, no matter what happens in whichever direction we go, people of my generation have already made it. We're going to be fine. It's going to be your generation that pays the price.
You're a political cretin, and you need to get the fuck out of here.
Jeez. Not doing well there, Vivek. I honestly, though, I can't tell you what the crowd is. Maybe it was a hostile crowd to begin with, so. DJ, didn't see it coming. Kirk was the one that surprised me so far. Yeah, I know. I mean, looking back, it is crazy. CNN played Butler to wake up liberals. God is real. Kirk, I don't know. Christians in America went from 60. Well, yeah, we are growing again. That is absolutely true. Then God sent Charlie on a mission. Charlie woke us up, and when we lost him, a mass return to Christ. Well, that's true. Yeah. But listen, no matter how big, see, I'm of the belief, and the way I understand my faith, my theology, which is, it's biblical, but we all understand things differently, even in the Bible. I don't believe God wanted Charlie to die. I don't believe he offered him up as a sacrifice. I can't find any examples of that in the New Testament. But what I do believe is that, we make choices, things happen, and God can make them turn out for good. But Charlie, even if, in his death, good things happened, which is a big revival push and other things. The truth is that it's still not as good as if Charlie had lived another 50, 60 years and the impact he would have had on culture long-term. That, I just don't think there's a case to be made for that. And so, I mean, we need to treat it what it was. It was an absolute travesty. He was stolen from us. And so what we need to do is make the enemy pay for what they did. And by making our country what Charlie wanted it to be, by fighting harder than ever. And that's how we avenge his death, and which we need to do. D-Man Wainwright says, what about Mark Levin calling Alexander Hamilton a socialist? Mark Levin is Mark is a neocon, old establishment Republican moron. Okay. He's very smart. And by moron, I mean that he always sticks to the plan no matter what. Okay. And the narrative no matter what. And Alexander Hamilton clearly is founding father, clearly not a socialist. We based our 18th century economy, was almost all based on Hamiltonian ideas, and it was way more free market than our current economy. And so Levin, he's going to say stuff like that because Levin's economics are basically libertarian. And I'm sorry, but we're not, our American system was not full on libertarian or Adam Smith kind of free markets. It is capitalism, but it's capitalism in a way that the government sometimes intervenes to spur production. That's the Hamiltonian system. It's not socialist. It's something completely different. Completely different, because in socialism, you end up taking over the companies. You end up, the government decides what these companies do. It controls the markets. That's socialism. But Hamilton wasn't for that. But what Hamilton was for is that sometimes the government would invest to push stuff forward. That's not socialism. So Levin, listen, he just hates MAGA. Levin hates MAGA. He hates Trump's economics. He hates Vance's economics. And so he's going to keep saying stuff like that. And you just can't trust Mark Levin anymore. You just really can't. Let's see here. Yep, I agree with you guys. Losing Charlie is just terrible. DJ says, Butler woke me up. It told me everything I needed to know is truly going on. Libs are right, it was staged. Trump wasn't informed it was staged. Later, I found QAnon made sense. Well, I'll tell you, it's I don't know if it was staged, but it was planned, if that makes sense, if there is a difference there. Staged informs it's a show, right? But was it a planned attack? 100%. Did I notice Fuentes was dressed like Trump? Maybe he'll come back to good sense. I don't trust Fuentes at all, as far as I can throw him. I don't think he's coming back. I think Fuentes is going to do what's best for Fuentes to keep his grift going as long as it can, which sometimes means he'll tell the truth, and sometimes it means he'll try to lead you astray. But overall, I don't see Fuentes changing anytime soon. Levin's a neocon. He's a great constitutional lawyer. He is, yeah. But yeah, listen, he doesn't realize Hamilton and the government give loans so they couldn't be crushed. Yeah, I mean, well, there's a lot of things in. There's a lot of nuance in Hamilton that's not explained when Levin says stuff like that. But there's a big push, okay? Because right now Trump is a Hamiltonian. There's no doubt about it. When you see what he does, like investing in Intel, the way he's, moving chip factory, the way he runs the economy is very Hamiltonian. Tariffs, Bissett the same way. But Levin knows he can't get rid of Trump, and he knows that Trump is the most popular person in the Republican Party. It's not close. So Levin's not going to go after Trump. So what Levin does now is he's going after Vance, because Vance is very Hamiltonian. And so when Vance says stuff, we saw the same thing come from Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro, Mark Levin, they're all attacking Vance for being a socialist just because he's saying Hamiltonian principles. And that's what they're going to keep doing, because they are desperate to win the presidency in 28. They do not want the Republican Party to be MAGA. They want to go back to the Bushies, but it's not going to happen. So calling the senators, join the cancel recess, pass the SAVE Act. I know we need to do what we can to do that. I know you guys need help in Brazil. I know you do. We pulled USAID. I don't know what else we can do for now. We'll get there eventually. If we fix our country, then it'll spread. Euro strengthened against the dollar. EU is dumping U.S. treasuries to weaken the dollar, reduce their energy costs. Well, it's also as an attack on the financial system. That's what they're doing. They know it's one of their last things they can try to pull off is attack the financial system with Trump. And that's one of the reasons EU is doing what it does. But eventually, listen, they don't produce anything. It's going to eventually collapse for them. It's just a matter of time. So they might be able to hold it off a little bit, but it's not going to last that way forever. Goodbye Park says, one good thing about the internet is showing how many different groups trying to influence government. Otherwise, they've always been pinned on the juice. The juice. Yep, I agree with you. Why did Megyn Kelly stop reporting on Nancy Guthrie? I don't know. That's a good question. That story just went away, didn't it? That's a weird story. Yeah. I don't know if anything ever came of that. It was pretty crazy. What's happening with Maduro? Apparently he's going on trial soon. If Trump visited Bolsonaro, it would finish the left here. I feel like Trump knows what's going on there. He likes Bolsonaro. I don't think he feels like he can do something like that right now, or if it really would help. Yeah. Child trafficking stuff's crazy, and it's all going to be exposed over time. I'll agree with you guys on that. As far as people directly involved, I can't say everybody. I know you just dropped a lot of names, but I don't know those for sure. Some of them I feel pretty confident about, but anyways, well guys, it's Friday. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I thank you guys for checking it out. Today's show. Massive thank you to all the super chats, massive thank you to all the members, and definitely big thank yous to everybody watching who liked and subscribed today. Appreciate your time, your energy, and your support. You guys are the best. So I'm going to end in a prayer, and I'm going to release us all to the weekend. And I just hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful few days ahead of you. Get rested, take a break from the news, and and know that like in overall, no matter how crazy things get, we're winning. And that's one of the reasons it's getting crazy. So let's pray and get out of here. Heavenly Father, thank you for today. God bless everybody here. God bless them for their support, their watching, and just wherever they're at in their lives, be with them and bless them, Father. And thank you for them. Father, we do know that, God, you're always working for our good. That's Romans 8:28, for the good of those who love you. And we don't always understand why things happen. We know that, God, only good things come from you. Even Jesus said the Father never gives bad gifts. And so you only give good gifts, and from the Father of lights is what Jesus says. And so we know all good things come from you, and all evil things come from the enemy or man himself. And so, God, we trust that you are working for good in the world, and that, Lord, we can partner with you and make this world a better place. So, Father, guide us, help us know what to do. Bless our president, protect him, protect his team, give them wisdom in solving these impossible problems. And Father, just expose the corrupt, bring them to justice, Father, and bring peace and prosperity to our land in ways we've never known before. And help us to leave a better country, a better nation, a better ideology in a way that can spread and just make the world a better place for generations to come. In Jesus' name, amen. Love you guys. Thank you so much again for watching. Appreciate you. Have a blessed weekend. I'll see you all Monday, 12 o'clock. Take care.
Headlines screaming like a siren at night. Red and blue shouting, nobody's right. Smoke in the streets, truth under attack. Everybody's loud, nobody's got facts. Feeds keep scrolling, nerves stay tight. Matchsticks flicked in the dead of night. They sell fear, cheap package the lies, while the clock keeps ticking, empires on fire. Can't sit quiet while the world's on edge. Lines in the sand, standing on the ledge. No script, no leash, no polish.